Okay.
yeah, like Ordinal Gun, right? Like their best they get is like they might be the band to open on the biggest stage at a festival or something. That's
Uh
like
huh.
as far as they get, and they're like sorta adjacent with a lot of bands like Powerwolf or Glory Hammer or something, but they're way better. It's like not even close. Like they are so much better, and no one seems to give a shit. And Theocracy are like they're even smaller. Yeah, 42,000 monthly listeners compared to Sapton's millions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, I go as far as say Theocracy are the best power metal band I've ever heard. Like, they've got a song called "I Am," and it is one of the greatest fucking songs I've ever heard. Like, it is so good it makes the rest of the album look mid, because the rest of the album's great power metal, but that one song opens the album and everything else looks mid in comparison to it, because well yeah they simply just put one really good song with a bunch of great songs, and it's like it starts 10 out of 10, fucking 11 out of 10, then goes down to like 8. That's a 3 point dip.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
uh,
they threw the curve. They threw the curve by putting out the best stuff. It's
yeah,
like
yeah, but like yeah, no one seems to care about them as well, but also it's probably partially down to the fact that all their music is about Christianity, and that makes some people really seethe for some reason, despite the fact you can make Christianity sound pretty fucking metal, I won't lie. Like, there's literally a song about like fighting demons and shit, and it's like, yeah, you can make that shit sound metal. That's all fucking hell. They literally,
well, I mean, it is a religion where every Sunday you go and devour the flesh and blood of your corpse god. Which is, when you put it that way, a pretty metal thing to do.
exactly. But no, it's like for some reason there's some people in the metal community who just have like a hate boner for Christianity, and that's it. Like they don't shun any of the other religions. It's only Christianity. It's a double standard I've always hated. Is like Cradle of Filth will sell a shirt that said, oh, was it Cradle of Filth or was it Children of Bodom? I always get those two mixed up. I think it was Cradle of Filth. Will sell a shirt that says Jesus is a cunt on the back. But no one makes a shirt that says Muhammad was a cunt. And Muhammad was way more of a cunt than Jesus. Let's be honest.
I mean, no, couple caveats here. Like, generally speaking, when you wear the Jesus is a cunt shirt in Christian areas, you'll get bad looks, but you can generally feel really safe in your person. And though I is there much like religious violence in the UK? I feel like that's and even in my
Yes.
oldie days,
Yes.
when like freaking Belgian comic artists got murdered over this shit. It was a little bit of a hot topic. I don't hear too much about like people just getting murdered for like disrespecting religions these days. There was even that guy in, what was it, Sweden, who burned a Quran, and Turkey put up like a big fuss about it because of like NATO reasons, but then eventually like chilled, and I think Sweden.
Well, no, now the UN passed the thing that essentially it almost like penalizes you if you don't crack down on the freedom of speech to disrespect religions. But either way, no.
Oh
Like,
really?
but we yeah, the West tried stopping it, but like a lot of these Muslim countries have enough bone power. But no, like we do have that stuff that happens here. We had a kid quite recently tear up a Quran in UK, and was basically had to go into hiding for a bit, and his mom basically had to go into their mosque and beg for forgiveness, which was fucking embarrassing. She should have told them to go fuck themselves. But we also had a teacher go into hiding for showing a picture of Muhammad, like, and that's not even getting into the religious tension between Catholics and Protestants in Scotland. Like, that shit
Oh,
is
I
bad.
didn't know that was, obviously you hear about it in Ireland all the damn time,
Oh no,
but I
it's,
didn't know how much of a thing it was in Scotland.
so like it's there, just no one wants to address it. But it's like not, how would I explain? It's not, if you were like a foreigner it wouldn't be like properly explicit to you. If you're Scottish, you get it though, because basically in Glasgow we have two really big football teams, Celtic and Rangers. Rangers are Protestant, Celtic are Catholic. Celtic was started by like Irish immigrants. Rangers were Scots, right? And
Yeah.
there's fucking tension between those two teams like you wouldn't fucking believe. Guy I was friends with in primary school is currently doing assault charges for beating up an old man with a couple of other guys because the guy was wearing a Celtic shirt.
Jesus.
So it's like if you're a foreigner, you see that and you go like, oh, it's just football rivalries, but it's like everyone knows there's the religious undertone of it, and like those fans will sing songs and shit at the games about that shit. Like we know the fuck, like we know the difference in all that. Just if you're not like from here, you wouldn't get it, or at least not until someone explains it to you. But yeah, the fucking tension between those two teams is bad, depends on which part of Glasgow you're in. Like, it's a known thing, if you live in Glasgow, or you're in Glasgow in general, and someone asks you, do you support Rangers or do you support Celtic? The correct answer is Partick Thistle, because they're like they're also a team from Glasgow, but they're like I don't know if they have a religious connection, but it's certainly nowhere near as strong as Celtic and Rangers. And depending on which answer you give to that question, you could get the fucking shit beaten out of you, for all you know. So you're just better off at answering Partick Thistle.
Jesus.
Like, yeah, it's like, but it's not addressed because, yeah, the Scottish government doesn't want to actually do anything to help anything in this country. I think we were talking about the server earlier, right? Like they're talking about decriminalising drugs, and like I would say, yeah, do that in any other country but Scotland.
Oh, just because you think like other countries, like people would like act in a way that actually is functional, and you would just like lower the amount of people in prisons would be good. But then Scotland is just gonna like be a clusterfuck. Is what you're thinking?
At least for now, yeah. The drug situation is real. It's actually just a crisis here, and I don't think the way of like if you have a crisis in something, of people doing something that's destructive to your country, I don't think the way to solve it is to just let everyone do it with no restrictions. Because like they don't charge anyone, right? They already don't charge. No one gets charged with drugs unless you're dealing. If you have it, no one gives a fuck, like at all. So it's not going to change much. All it will do is probably mean that we'll have more drugs on the street. And when Scottish people take drugs, they take fucking drugs. Like, we have a really bad heroin problem here. So it's just going. So just removing any way of stopping people taking heroin is like, it's not a good solution at all. With how the country is like, actually fucking invest money in trying to solve the problem. I don't have the answers because I'm not a fucking expert on the subject, but I'm looking at what they're doing and they're not doing anything. They're just leaving the problem be because they don't have to fucking worry about it, because when they go live in their fucking mansions with all their money, they don't have to look at all the people with fucking syringes on the street from people taking black tar heroin. We have a woman right now in Scotland who's being forced to take down a fence that she built on her property so her children wouldn't be exposed to needles being thrown in her yard. And the council's basically forcing her to take this fence down. Like, that's how fucking bad it is here.
That sounds pretty bizarre.
That's just councils being cunts. That's a shirt created of filth should make. The council are cunts. But,
Councils are cunts.
Yeah. And then you're still stuck paying fucking tax to them, despite the fact they do fucking nothing besides fucking normal people over. But either
what are the councils? Is that just like local municipal governments or
basically,
something?
basically, yeah, but they just act like a bunch of cunts. It's basically like we have planning permissions. That's the thing we have here, right? So if you own like a huge part of land, you're not allowed to build stuff on it without permission from the council, which is fucking horseshit. And it's like they are just they are like Reddit mods with how they like treat that.
You
Like
know,
that.
considering that, like, at least where I'm from, the image of Scotland, of course, is Groundskeeper Willie and William Wallace and Braveheart,
No, not the
right?
slightest. Not the slightest.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like it's the image of they may
Well,
take our lives, but they can never take our freedom is now
oh,
being juxtaposed
they took it
with
a long
like
time
the
ago.
you built you built like an outhouse over there. You have a license for that. Like,
The entire UK has this, to be fair. Like, it's not just
to be
us.
fair,
It's not just us. We are less free than the rest of the UK. That is true. Like the whole, like these fucking larpers who go vote SNP and then act like they're fighting for freedom because you cast a fucking ballot for for an explicitly authoritarian party. Like, go fuck yourself. Like that's all I've got to say to those people. Eat shit and go kill yourself. Like, tie in this and actually break your fucking neck because you have destroyed this country. And like, yeah, the stereotypes, like that stereotype ain't gonna last very long. Because anytime anyone like reads about Scottish politics in general, it just becomes like, oh. The thing is, people are fucking dumb here, so it's like they vote for like one cause and that's it. So you'll have explicitly authoritarian party, but it'll be like, oh, but we'll get independence. Like, this is essentially the fucking turkeys voting for Thanksgiving, but they're being told, I don't know what the fucking turkey's like. I don't know, bad example maybe. Either way, it's a fucking disaster.
we'll give you delicious turkey food, but we're the Thanksgiving party. And then,
Yeah, yeah,
the turkeys will
that's
be like, "Oh, delicious food, huh? That sounds great. Yeah,
that,
all we can eat. Man, we're gonna be fat on this stuff. This is wonderful."
yeah. But at the same time, the turkey food is also like filled with lead, and if you think about it for a second, it's clearly filled with lead. That's my take on Scottish independence. It's filled with lead.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Uh,
our economy is only going to get worse if we do it. And we're not going to do it. The whole thing is dead on the... It's dead now. The Scottish independence movement is dead on arrival now. Because all the members of this party are being arrested for corruption.
Jesus.
Yeah, we have had the last First Minister get arrested. Her husband, who's also part of the party, get arrested. I think the Treasurer got arrested. A couple other people got arrested. They were being really difficult when it came to investigations about their money. First Minister and husband got arrested. Their garden was dug up because the police were looking for money. It's
Jesus.
yeah, it's not a good situation. Like that's how corrupt this country is. We like are actually at Eastern European levels of corruption. And the only reason like they're being arrested is because it was like too obvious for them not to do it now. Because it should have been done ages ago. But it was like too public for the police to just do nothing, because if they did nothing, like that's not a good look. It was they're
Yeah.
in a situation
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, you've been that brazen with it, we have to arrest you now.
It was like Tate in Romania, right? Like,
Well, apparently the Romanian government wanted him gone anyway, but
oh yeah, yeah. Like I do understand that, but just the fact that
I mean,
Romania does have this sort of image of not necessarily being the least corrupt country on earth. But then he comes in and is like, "Oh, you can just pay the cops and they'll let you do fucking anything, anything. I traffic women." Like,
yeah, I mean,
and then when they finally managed to just get enough to find him, then the shit went down. But
I've heard apparently
I
that the reason they went for him like that was literally just because they're trying to get into the EU and he's making that difficult. Which
I'd believe that. I mean,
I would believe that. I think that's probably true. Because I'm sure he's actually bringing money into the country to an extent. So, I think
oh, you mean just with his Hustlers University? What, like, I don't even know how much of that. I don't know how much of his money is like taxable by the Romanian authorities? That's a good question.
Either way,
I
like
assume that his streamer farms or whatever, his like porn streamer e-girl farms in the country have to have some kind of like infrastructure that's getting taxed. And well, I have no idea if that's even going on these days. Like, I don't fucking yeah, I don't keep up too much with the Tate stuff.
I don't really
Though,
care about
like,
him too much.
actually, yeah, I did want to ask, right? Because I know that sometimes we have the conversations about like the incel thing, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you're sort of sympathetic to the incels' problems while also having problems with like the solutions they choose, right? Which aren't really solutions oftentimes.
No, no, they don't have solutions at all.
Yeah. But I did we ever talk about like Andrew Tate?
I think we very briefly did on like the first
Okay.
episode or something. I don't remember, to be honest.
I mean, honestly, I prefer talking about like the future collapse of society more for some reason. That's slightly less depressing to me than like the certain aspects of modern internet culture. But
I don't really mind Andrew Tate, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his by any means. I think if the human trafficking stuff is true, I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm saving myself a lawsuit right now. But either way, like, if that's true, fucking scumbag. I'm going off the premises of innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And based off that alone, I don't mind the guy. I disagree with a lot of what he says. I think he has some good points here and there. I fundamentally reject some of his hypotheses about masculinity and that kind of thing. I think what he claims masculinity is, I fundamentally disagree with him on nearly every level about it. But I don't think he's terrible at the same time. And I think I said this on first episode, the people who are like on Twitter seething about him are fucking idiots. They are the retarded redneck screaming America rules at the Iron Sheik. Like, he's clearly a persona. Like,
oh yeah, no, that's the thing. I will agree that he's clearly a persona, and I will agree that he's someone who figured out how to be the equivalent of a non-wrestling heel, and turn it into a bunch of fucking money. Because before he was, the current persona, he wasn't making the large amounts of money. Well, I don't know how the balance comes out with like court fees at this point, but like, yeah, he was not making bank like he is now. Back before he created the sunglass wearing hyper masculine, it's fine if I cheat on my women, plural, but like they can't talk to other men persona.
I don't know if I describe him as hyper masculine, to be fair.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Like he sort of is LARPing as masculine, right?
Yeah, I never got this like claim that he's like masculine. That like he's a fucking manlet. He's like, he literally looks like you know the memes you get of people who like have no chin and they're
yeah.
He looks like that. Like if you like the Giga Chad meme, like he at least looks masculine. Like that's masculinity. Andrew Tate ain't that. He ain't even fucking close to that. He is a literal chinlet.
Yeah, but he's how'd I put this? It seems like he's compensating for what God did not give him in bone structure, right?
Yeah, I never got the claim. It's like he's clearly he's clearly having to use like all this money and shit to try like make up for the fact. But if you just fucking look at the guy, if you just look at him, you can see he ain't that. He ain't all that. Like, just look at the cunt. And I never got. And it's like his whole claim about like masculinity just being, oh, I just have loads of money and have sex with women, and there you go. And that's, I reject that. That claim, that's masculinity. I just reject outright. I think he's completely wrong about that, and I think he is a bit of a degenerate. But at the same time, like, how would I put it? I think the claim that, because there's so many fucking people on like I don't want to say the left, because I hate this claim that like the progressive side, shall we say, and there's all these people who are like clearly don't like masculinity and they're clearly like have an agenda against it. So Tate being like this guy's like masculinity good is like no shit, he's become successful. Like that's not to say that that's the only reason why he's very clearly intelligent. Like he's a very intelligent guy, no doubt about it. And when he tells you otherwise, is a moron. But at the same time, like what he's saying is like anyone could come in and say that, and they probably would find success if they were like the guy for it. Because it's like I know loads of people who like Andrew Tate, who are like my age, and it's like yeah, no fucking shit that people like him. Like I'm not surprised in the slightest, and I don't know. That's why I don't mind the guy per se. Is more or less the fact.
But I hope you don't mind if I sort of interject here and say that actually this is though part of what I have against the guy. Is that, as you said, like a lot of people your age are sort of like, yo, man, like Andrew Tate's, he's talking sense, right? And if all he was saying was, like, if anybody tells you that going to the gym is, like, racist, tell them to fuck off and go to the gym instead of talking to them, right? That would be like, okay, good. Yeah, people should go to the gym if they want to, and nobody should tell them off for it, right? And if, like, people say you shouldn't enjoy masculine hobbies, then they should fuck off too. Like those are healthy messages, right? But and I think it's mostly just because it helps him to monetize his persona. Or maybe there is, a certain amount of like honestly believing it. I have no fucking clue. But there's a whole lot of and I know this term is loaded, misogynistic stuff in like the views that he pushes, right? And to the degree that he's a really popular figure among disenfranchised men, that's like really, I think, fucking up a lot of people's relationships with like the opposite sex in general.
Yeah, no, because I think how do I put it? I've always said the clear divide between men and women it's currently going on. It's both sides' fault. Like, yeah, it's like, and that's why I was fucking annoyed about these people who are like, outwardly hate Tate, and it's like, acting like, oh, it's all the men's fault. It's like, no, yeah, no, women have a lot. They're fucked up, bad. Honestly, if you made me say which side is fucked up more in causing this divide, it's women. No doubt about it. No fucking doubt about it at all. It's women. And yeah, it's like, how would I explain it? Women have been fed a lie about how the world works, I guess, because there's so many and shit like. Do you know much about the creator of the show Sex and the City? I've never watched this, by the way. As far as I'm aware,
no, but tell me what you know.
As far as I'm aware, pretty recently she's like become depressed and like regrets making the show, because like there was like this whole and this was like the whole second wave there's tons of second wave feminists now who are getting old, and they're dying alone, and they're realizing, oh, we fucked up bad, because like they all had this like mindset of like, oh, we'll be young and beautiful forever, we'll have our career, we'll just have sex with tons of men, like no problem, nothing can go wrong from this. And then they get old, and an unfortunate truth about reality is if you're like old as a woman and you have like no family at all, you're kind of worthless to most people, which is just, that's an unfortunate truth. Is like the looks have gone and all that, you've not got family around you. Like, there's like old when men get old and they're alone, they handle it better than women do. An unfortunate truth, but a truth nonetheless. And a lot of these women who are like pushing that shit then are getting old now and are fucking alone. They have no husband, no kids, or most of them have a husband but no kids, and they've got fucking no one. Everything is faded. Their bodies are withering away, and they're realizing, oh, we are fucked up bad, and we've told like the generation before us, oh, we do this lifestyle, it's great, and we fucking doomed them all. And that's how loads of these like Zekwe families are now going. I'm blanking all the names of the writers, which is bad of me. If I could tell you them, I would. I just don't remember. I don't have the memory for all this shit. But yeah, that's a trend I'm seeing. And yeah, and how I always put it is like, as a woman, you kind of have to choose between a family or really focusing on a career. You can't do both. You can either have the career that makes you a lot of money, but you can't take that money into the afterlife or anything. That money exists on this plane of existence, and that's fucking it. You don't take the money with you after you die. So I don't get this obsession with money in a career. If you find that fulfilling, good for you, but you're probably a fucking sociopath. Or you can actually focus in on a family, and like that shit's actually like the connections you make with other human beings matter more than money any fucking day.
Yeah, though, I do have one question, which,
yeah.
I mean, how would I put this?
I talk a lot. Yeah. Sometimes.
I mean, I pulled up the person you were talking about, like Candace Bushnell, and no, she apparently, went on record about like regretting it, even though she's like worth like 18 million pounds or equivalent, whatever. But from my understanding, like for most people who like get married in their like 30s and are thinking about having children, like they can't afford to have one parent just living at home and afford the costs of a child. Like you got to be pretty at least upper middle class to afford children on one's salary, is my understanding.
So I disagree.
Like, what is it like in Scotland?
So I disagree with you in two ways.
Okay.
One, I'm not saying the mother has to be at home. It's ideal she is, I'd say that, but it doesn't have to be. But I'm saying the ones who will spend less time with kids so they can work long hours at their work, improve their career and all that, right? Those people, you're gonna have a fucking terrible relationship with your kid, because like those early years of a child's life, you should be there as much as possible. Absolutely as much as possible, because that's like the most important time when it comes to bonding with your kid and as a parent. And if you're not there because you're fucking working so you can make more money that you will not have when you are fucking dead, that's not good. That's not good at all for the relationship between you and your kid. So those people are the ones I'm thinking of. If you want to work a part-time job or even a full-time job that maybe you're not doing the entire time, or spend all the time working 9 to 5, the rest of the time you're with the kid. Not ideal, but it's not entirely a deal breaker. Or at least to an extent. But I'm talking about people who like focus their entire fucking life on that career. Like they are working long. They're maybe working 6 days a week. Like they are barely spending any time with the kid. The kid's being raised by fucking nurseries and stuff like that. That's when it becomes a fucking problem.
So I guess we can both agree that there should be shorter working days so that parents spend more time with their children. Shorter working days and enough money paid to people so that they can raise their children and like both financially and emotionally by like being present in their children's lives.
100%. But the thing I also do disagree with this claim that it costs like a fortune to raise one kid. That ain't true. So there's a guy I work with, right? He's quite a bit older than me. Well, lives in the same town as me, actually. He's drove me home once or twice from work. Cool guy. He a year or two ago, him and his wife recently have had kids, twins. This guy works at the same place I do. He's not a manager or anything, so he can't be getting paid too much more than I do. And I'm assuming his wife isn't doing anything crazy. I'm assuming she doesn't have some crazy millionaire job or anything. Like, he lives in a small town near, like, the same town as me. I've been in his car. It's not anything ridiculous. Like, and he can afford to have twins. Like, I think it was quite literally this whole thing of like it cost. I don't know what like in Japan per se, but I think in the West, I think this whole thing of like, oh, it costs like a military budget to raise one kid. It's a fucking psyop. It's what it is. It's like you see all these articles in, oh, the cost of a kid is now $10 million, and it's like, is it though? Like, you can raise a kid. What, you need food, a bit of clothing, like. You can raise a kid in a small apartment. You don't need a fucking 3-story house to do it. I think I can't believe that it costs $2 million to raise a kid, or however much to raise a kid. Like, it's not. It can't be. And I think it's literally just a style, because it's all these mainstream publications who have agendas, who are taking the ESG money, and the ESG agenda with the World Economic Forum and all that, have an agenda of people having less kids, and that's what it is. It's a psyop. I think people can afford to have kids. This guy can, and I doubt his wife is doing anything crazy. And they're able to make on. I'm going to assume his salary is a bit higher than mine, because he seems to have been working there for a wee bit, a few years maybe. But it can't be too much higher than mine. And like I get paid really good for my age. But it's the minimum wage for 23-year-olds and above. So he's probably making slightly above minimum. He's probably making just slightly above minimum wage in Scotland. And he's got twins. Like, no one's able to explain. Like, how can he? And the answer, quite simply, is just, it doesn't cost that much to raise a kid. It's a fucking psyop, is what I think it is. You can pull up a study and tell me I'm wrong, but like, I'm aware this is what's the word? I'm simply taking anecdotal evidence, but I'm looking around at my surroundings, and it doesn't look like it costs that much.
I know in Japan, I've got friends who are going the kids route, and yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. I know. Well, I think one of the things, though, for Japan at least, is there is an aspect of like, if you raised a kid and you're like, yeah, nurseries is the main thing, though. Like, while both parents are at work, you need them to be able to be somewhere. And more families, I think, are having issues with getting like grandparents to look after the kids, right? And I've heard that there are like wait lists that are like years long. like as soon as your child is like, as soon as you know that you're pregnant, you're like registering for getting them into kindergartens. And they have like interviews and shit. Like it's I don't know why the hell, like, with how few children there is such an issue with like kindergartens. You'd think somebody would like build more.
Well,
anyway,
the
but then you've also got it's the weird Juku cycle where it's one of those things where it's mostly expensive because people are trying to give their kids like more education so they can get into better middle schools, so they can get into better high schools, so that they can get into better universities, and they don't get like dump tracked part of the way through and then can't get into a good university, which also affects whether or not they get like a really good job or like a dead-end job because of the way that so much is related to like connections and sort of status and where you came from. And so in that sense, I think in Japan, if you were like just like, I'm gonna teach my kid how to be a blacksmith in Podunk, wherever, you probably could raise your kid pretty cheaply. But if you're trying to go for like my kid's gonna be a white collar worker somewhere, and hopefully they're not gonna hate their existence. Um, the the system seems to be really pressuring people to put a lot of money into, yeah, like at that point, childcare costs a lot, which that's more of like a Japan, China, Korea shared problem than like a Western
Yeah,
problem.
that's
But
not an issue in the slightest here.
yeah,
I mean, we don't have like the only better lower like high schools we have are like private schools. I barely even fucking send their kids to don't send your kids to private schools. Like public schools are fucking shite as well, but like sort of private schools. Don't send your kids to either. That's my take at least. But yeah, like the whole nursery thing. Yeah, here's a solution for nurseries. Have good family ties, and or just have a parent at home, because you're not gonna need to pay for a nursery, which can cost a lot if you're just not working, and you also then get a better bonding with your kid, and your kid isn't being raised by people who are making minimum wage at a nursery, who are also looking after 20 other kids.
Yeah, and
I'm aware I'm not
this
being.
might be something.
I'm aware I'm not. I've not got much real world experience when it comes to that shit. I'm simply talking about like the West, but like most things I hear where people are like, oh well, this part costs money. It's like that can be just solved by spending time with your kid. Like baby formula would be expensive. Breastfeeding the kid. Nurseries cost a lot. Stay home with the kid. Have better family ties. Solved. And I think a lot of the things that people are like, oh well, this part costs a lot of money. It's like, yeah, no, those are luxury. Like you don't need those. Those are problems you have created for yourself. Because like, realistically, what do you need to rate? Like food, clothes, maybe a pram. Like, is there anything else that I'm like thinking of that's like absolutely necessary? And in a way that you can give your kid at least a decent enough life? Like, not really. I mean, well.
I mean, it's mostly. I think the thing that mostly costs people money is if their working situation makes it so that they can't. If their working and living situation makes it so that they can't foist their kids off on their grandparent, their parents or whatever. That costs a huge chunk of money. And I know that there's like a lot of people that seem to, for economic reasons, moved somewhere for work. That means that they're no longer like, within feasible distance. Like maybe there's a lot of more job mobility within Japan than like in Scotland or whatever. But like a lot of people that you meet in working in like the cities did not necessarily come from that city.
I mean,
So
what I'm saying is like the whole, it costs a shitload of money if you don't have grandparents or anything, right? Stay home with the kid. You don't need. There you go. The shitload of money problem out the way. That whole part's gone. You're losing a bit of money in your income, but that money be going into the nursery anyway. So. Problems.
I mean, well, that is, I guess, one thing that, even that's actually what my mom did.
Exactly.
But granted, my mom is of the boomer generation, so my dad was capable of, holding the entire family up on a single income. But yeah, it was sort of like work and spend 70% of salary on childcare, or not work and raise children. Like,
well,
she was like,
70% of income on childcare, or what, have a 50% less salary? Congrats, you just saved 20% of your money.
Yeah.
Even for saying both parents are making the same, like, cool, you've saved 20% and you've got a better relationship with your kid.
Or I meant 70% of her income versus,
right.
losing income, yeah.
Either way, then, like, that's 30% you lose.
Yeah, versus being able to, like, actually spend time with your children. So,
Yeah.
But for me at least,
isn't the point of having kids to, spend time with them?
Yeah, but I do think that there's a lot of people, honestly, and this is, I think, has to do with my leftist tendencies. I do think that a huge amount of issues um, that society is currently dealing with do have roots in people just being pressured into being like economic factories for the dudes who give them jobs, right? Like spend more time at work, make more widgets, more Excel sheets, whatever the hell, for less money. Where the idea of family life balance is literally like eight freaking dimensions away from any of the people that are actually like paying salaries and deciding work hours, right? And so it doesn't really factor. It doesn't act as any kind of like if people's life situations are turning into shit and they aren't raising children, they aren't making families, right? Um, that itself is not putting much of a pressure on the people who are actually have a hand in deciding the things that cause this issue, right? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and even though I I I don't like government intervention, generally speaking. Um, it seems like one of those things where if you just let the people at the helm do whatever they think is appropriate for their position as the person at the helm, you get what we've got right now, which is yeah, people who are being encouraged on both sides of the gender aisle to just be career people and fix any lack of time at home with pouring money into it and earning more money to compensate for it. And that's not. I mean, we moved away from like the gender issue into, you know,
Yeah.
Andrew Beale giving a speech about economic leftism. But I do honestly think, like, this is one thing where the Soviet Union, I'm never gonna stand for the Soviet Union in any goddamn way. But one thing that I hear is that people, say they miss about it was that you had a lot more time with your family. Like your job was pretty freaking time blocked, and you just come home, and then you were poor compared to like a modern standard of living, so to speak. But like you had personal time for raising children or reading books or talking about your day or whatever, right? Like the home life had more time because it wasn't like, well, if you've got an extra 6 hours in the day, you should be giving us three of those so that we can make more profit as your economic masters.
Yeah. So that. Yeah. Well, I was about to say something. I completely. Yeah. No. I know. I was gonna say. See, that's the thing, right? It's like. I wouldn't mind living like that kind of like, you don't have all these fucking ridiculous luxuries, right? Like, you want kids, just cut down on some of the fucking luxuries. You don't have to go out to the fucking pub every week. You don't have to be spending like £50 a month on all those on tons of streaming services. Fucking pirate shit. Uh, you know, don't spend £20. Like the amount of people who are like complaining about the cost of living crisis, and then will spend £40 on cinema tickets a week, and then like another £20 on the snacks. Well, that rounds up to about £60, and then they won't even eat the snacks, and they'll leave it for me to clean up. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I think a lot of Westoids, like, just cut down on the luxuries. You don't need them. Like, oh no, I don't have entertainment now. I can't watch 10 hours of slop of shit that's made by assholes in LA. Go to the library and read a book. There you go. That's your entertainment.
Yeah, and this, I agree with you that like it does seem like a lot of people use entertainment as sort of like the opiate of their woes, right? Like they're sort of running from something and using like media and snacks and whatever to avoid it, right? To make their lives feel better.
Yeah,
But you are correct
I
that
can't stand those people.
yeah. Well, and you're right that you can just read a book or enjoy the weather or go for a stroll or
See, like, there's like
buy
a
like a $5 musical instrument that sucks and just like play with it.
so
Life.
there's a person I work with, right? Who's like fucking. She's like £300, and what does she do when she goes home from work? Eats ice cream and watches Netflix, and it's like, go for a fucking run. Like, oh, you're on antidepressants. I wonder why. Go for a run, and that's what I hate these people. Who that's what they spend their time doing, eating ice cream and just watching Netflix. That's all they do in their free time. Go do shit. Go have sex. Have a kid. Stop paying for your Netflix and your ice cream. Go for a run so you're actually physically fit. So it means, oh, if you do need to run, you actually can instead of a fucking waddle. Go do shit. That's what you want to do. Go fucking do shit. And I'm sick of these people. And then they complain that it costs too much of a kid. Look at all the worthless shite you are spending your money on. I wonder why.
So
These people actually annoy me so bad. Like,
what'd you say?
These people annoy me so, like, it actually aggravates me how some of these people are. Like, oh no, I can't live without my Disney Plus or my Netflix subscription. Like, no, you can do without all those things. They're luxuries. Don't pay for Spotify. Pirate music. There are apps you can get that will literally just Okay, you need to be able to download your music. There are apps you can get that literally will just take YouTube videos, download the audio, and save as an audio file like it's Spotify on your phone. Is it worse than Spotify? Yes, 100%. But is it an option? Absolutely. If you need to save money, there you go. You can't watch your Netflix shows? Pirate them. And I'm not saying pirate things. For legal reasons, I'm not saying pirate things. I'm simply saying the option is there. Just...
And the option of,
there are cheaper alternatives.
picking up a book instead of watching Netflix.
Yeah, there are cheaper alternatives to all the luxuries the West have. It's just people...
Oh, dude, libraries. Everybody listening to this podcast, I don't know if your area has good libraries or not.
Mine
but
was
holy
good,
shit,
they made it worse.
Ah, that sucks.
They
Because like in the
renovated
West,
and they made it worse somehow.
or in the U.S. at least, libraries are fighting the good fight. Though it seems like certain places are definitely trying to fuck them into oblivion, especially book publishers. But especially during the pandemic, libraries have been beefing up on ebooks. And what's hilarious to me,
I can't stand
shit,
ebooks.
maybe I should avoid a leftist rant again. But obviously with an ebook, like theoretically, there, if you have one copy, you can instantly loan it to anybody who wants it, and publishers hate that. So they have this system where libraries need to buy each ebook for like $50 or something. And then that can only be loaned out to one person at a time, and they have to have like a system and a waiting list and everything. But even so, you can get these, like if you live in the US, you can get into a system of libraries that'll connect to other libraries that can loan their ebooks to other libraries instantaneously. So if you just are willing to read books, you can do that. And then a lot of libraries also even rent out or loan out video games and movies and shit. So like, man, I really wish we supported public libraries more in the public sphere. Like that people were cognizant of them as like a resource for enriching communities, and then like beat the shit out of politicians that tried to like cut the kneecaps out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use mine very often just because a lot of the stuff I want to read aren't going to be in the library in my area. It's a decent enough library. It's more or less just like I think of the last few things I've read, like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna have Fist of the North Star in my library.
Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
maybe not. So it's like that's my reason for not using it. But like my point overall is like people in the West like they become accustomed, like they've become entitled. They have entitled to all these luxuries where it's like there are cheaper alternatives. You just refuse to use them because you were greedy. Like I've heard
Yeah.
stories about these like charities for like single mothers, right? I can't remember what fucking podcast I heard this on. Anyway, the guy was telling a story about this where like social workers will like come in for these like single mothers and charities, and they'll like give them free pram or something, but it'll be like one of those cheap ass prams. But it's like, and then they're like, no, I ain't taking this. I gotta have an expensive one. It's like, you fucking can't. Like, you don't have to buy the £500 version of something. Like what Westoids are like, these are the kind of they expect the £100 digital ultimate mega deluxe edition of a video game. Buy it when it goes down in price.
Yeah.
There you go. You don't need it on release. Well, I need a Street Fighter 6 on release, but besides that one, you don't need it on release, and you don't need the Mega Ultimate Digital Big Dick Edition. You can get, and that's not even to say that Netflix and ice cream is better than books. Books are better. It's cheaper and it's better. Just do it. And people are actually entitled to these luxuries that in reality are making their lives worse. So they're not a luxury. In reality, yeah, they're not a luxury. Spending all your time indoors eating food and watching mindless vapid shine is not a luxury. That's a hell of an existence. You're not helping yourself in any way. You're making yourself fucking miserable. That's not a luxury. That is a literal hell you're paying to do. You're paying a luxury price to make your life worse. And yet people feel entitled to destroy their own lives. When go for a run, it's free. As at this moment of time, the 29th of July 2023, oxygen is free, and going outside for a run is free. It might not be in the future, but at this very moment it is. So go do it.
I'm just gonna go ahead and interject here. For anyone who's living in areas where you don't want to go outside, I would suggest just doing listen to some music, pirated or not, and just do jumping jacks or push-ups or something like that at home, burpees, like, and yeah, just move a little bit. You don't need to go outside because I swear to fucking God, I am not going for a walk in this 35 degree centigrade heat.
Open a window.
But the getting your body moving thing is something that
open a window. There you go. Open a window and move your body.
Yeah.
But no.
The No Society is in agreement.
Yeah. But no.
So wait, did you mind if I or you can finish that thought, and then I wanted to ask you a question.
Go ahead,
okay. No. So you mentioned, like, I want to ask you a little bit more about what you're seeing as like the with like gender relations at like an all-time low, right? And you said that you think that there's a lot coming from like the women's side. I wanted to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on that, because obviously, Ander over here, like, the live lefty, 100% on the prog axis guy. Like, I wanna see where you're coming here from this, because obviously I've got more of like a feminist perspective in my mind. And like the mentioning you mentioned that like overselling career womanhood to young people so that they, like, I guess don't want to settle down. Seems like one thing that you've got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a study right now, and I can't remember the statistic. I remember the generalness of what it was saying. I'm trying to find this right now. If I can't, I'll give you the general rundown of it. If I can't find it, give me a second. I'll admit I am literally just looking for this this article from Poll because it gets reposted all the time here. And that's where I'm looking right now. Nah, I can't find it. Basically, what it came out was that surveyed in the United States, it was something like 60% of like 20-year-old men were single, while it was something like 30% of women. Which raises the question of, okay, how old are more young single men than there are women? And well, there's two answers you can go from for that. Well, there's three. The first one would be that women are sharing boyfriends, which nah, they're not. So there are two, both are true, I'd say, answers to why that is. Now, my statistics are slightly off. If I find the study, I will link it. If I don't, I won't. I mean, in the video description, I can't be bothered finding it right now. If I find it, I'll send you it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
But it was there. I read it. It was a survey. Anyway, the two reasons this is happening is either women are lying, and what's really happening is they are all sleeping with a few guys on Tinder, and then they're putting it down as, yeah, I'm in a relationship, yeah, I have sex with this guy, I've had sex with this guy once or twice. That's a relationship. Which, I think that's part of it, because, I mean, if you see the what dating apps are like, it is literally just the top 10% of guys having sex with 90% of the women. That's what they are.
I think dating apps are a cancer on humanity in general, but
yeah. But that's just so that
the social outcomes from dating apps, like I think
I agree 100%. But the issue with them, right, is that's where loads of people have gone like, oh, that's the only place you can go to date now, and that's where loads of people are going. And it's the issue is it is offering women like who are like dreaming of one night. You know, I can't bother putting a nice way to put this. There are like ugly as fuck women who would not be dating high at all before, who are now being able to have, who are being given access to like the Chad Thundercock, as the incels would put it, like, because it's just open like that. So now like the standards are getting too high. Where, like, did you see the OkCupid released like loads of their statistics years and years and years ago, right? And one of the stats they had was how men rate women compared to how women rate men. And like for men, it was a straight bell curve. It was like a perfect bell. Actually, I might have the photo for this. Straight bell curve. For women, yeah. Oh, got it. I got it. This. Look at that. That's what dating apps have done.
oh, okay.
You see my point? So that 2%, maybe 5%, are again have sex with 90% of the women on OkCupid.com, and the rest are basically being told to go fuck yourself.
So wait, can I say something about this?
Yes.
And I think this feeds into why dating apps are horrible. Is if you like talk to people about, or talk to Riftionary. Riff is currently being like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. You might want to open up a slot in the recording thing in case she wants to jump in.
Nah.
Just say it's recording talk.
Just later.
No. Women oftentimes, right? One of the things that is really attractive to a lot of women is if people are funny or interesting, right? And that's one of those things that you really get from like talking to people, right? And like finding their personality, seeing if like they're quick on their feet, if they like react well to what you're saying, and that like doesn't exist in a dating profile, right? So it takes pretty much like the primary axis the primary function by which a man normally appeals to women, which is on an emotional level, and just knocks it out of existence. Right? You don't get to judge based on that. You only get to judge by like what they look like. Right? And so I think that yeah, that's probably part of what does this is like the main thing that oftentimes determines attractiveness is not even there. But I will agree that just like yeah, that clearly does mean that being on a dating app fucking sucks for dudes. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's part of it, but another part of it is like how to explain it. There's like loads of guys who are in my year of school, right? Who they're fucking weak as shit, and like their whole thing is like they just they they they've been feeding loads of these girls in my year's ego. Because like some of these fucking bitches are not very attractive. I'm just gonna go out and say that. I'm not going to be misogynist, and that's just me stating a fact. And like these guys will be like, they would like the word simp gets used a lot, and that's how I would describe a lot of these people. And it's like feeding these people's fucking ego, so they think they're it. They ain't it. And that's a bit more part of this, but generally the damns fucking suck. But the other part of why we have this statistic is because women are going for older men. Well, remember, it was 20-year-old men. So the women are going for older men. Actually, because, well, money. I have a video for this as well, actually.
And that's, I mean, granted.
Here we go. It shows both of what I'm saying. It shows too high standards and older men. This video.
Jesus Christ, this is gonna be cringe. What am I opening up here? Okay, so she TikTok of a woman who had a bunch of boyfriends who like emotionally oh.
You see my point?
Granted, I think that seems like she's doing it for the memes. But no, the one thing is, and I mean,
see, that's the thing.
What?
Like, yeah, it's part of it for the meme, but at the same time, it's like, is it though? It comes off as like, oh look, it's not affecting me. I'm laughing it off. And yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. That's you've kind of fucked up your life there, and it comes off as them trying to like, go, look, I'm happy on the outside, and it's like, nah. I'm playing along with the joke. No, you're not. You're fucking pissed that you did this to yourself. But no, I think yeah, standards have gotten way too high. But the other thing is like, I was telling Chris about this, right? Like, I went and made an account like the big thing, and I was just like, out of curiosity, nothing more than that, curiosity, and it's like, women's like perception, I think, of what men want is like so fucking far out of whack. It's crazy. It's like how would I explain it? Like there's so many profiles that are just like they're nearly naked, and it's like, bro, no guy sees a woman post herself naked on the internet and goes, that's wife material right there. She's gonna whore for her man. Yeah, that's what I want. Like nah. Like, no, you don't want that, and I think that's part of it as well. Is like, again, it's the whole being sold on. I can go have sex with tons of guys in my career, and there's gonna be no problem at all when women's biological clock runs out before men's does. Unfortunate, but true. Like, that's an undeniable fact. I can get to like 70 and I can still pump the dick juice out that gets a woman pregnant. Women can't do that when they're 70. No, like they can't even do it when they're 60 or 50. Barely, if they can at 40. At 30, you're already kind of pushing it. Odds are I'll be able to do it my entire lifetime. So get fucked. It's like, we're good. That's a win for us men. But yeah, people like don't realize like, yeah, your biological clock runs out. So like, I end up reading tons of articles from these women like, who live like this, where it's like, oh, I had high standards. Well, nah, I don't want kids. I'll just focus on the career, and then they hit 40, menopause starts to kick in, and they realize, oh fuck, I actually do want kids because that's your purpose. Like innately is like what the fuck is it? Survive and reproduce. Cool. It's not hard to survive, so you've already had that part taken away from you, and you're choosing not to do the other one. Yeah, no wonder you're on fucking antidepressants. Not that those help. Most mass shooters were on antidepressants. We have a lot of dead people now. No. Yeah, people like they eventually hit that point where they realize, oh, I'm not going to be able to do the reproduce part. Fuck, I need to do it now, and they're like trying to make this mad dash in like their last few years, and or like when they're already like starting to dry up down there. And the fact of the matter is, right, if you leave it ages before you have a kid, that's going to like asking to have a kid with birth defects. Like, it's not healthy for the kid for you to do that at all. Don't.
It does raise the chances of
Like, yeah,
a bunch of dangers for both the mother and the child. So yeah.
If you willingly wait till you're like 42 to have a kid, you're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a kid. The one you'll probably never get because you waited too long because you're a fucking idiot. And that's what frustrates me. And that's why I think it's more annoying. So like, I think a lot of guys just want like the old, I don't say old way of doing it, but like that whole way of like, cool, get married, like pretty young, have kids, simple, easy. And all these women are like, I'm hot shit, I'm gonna have sex for 2 decades with random people, and I'll be all good. And it's like, that's the disconnect. That's the disconnect I see. Because their egos have been just skyrocketed to the fucking stratosphere. And yeah, that's the problem I see, at least.
Granted, this is one where my understanding might be out of sync, but like
that's not
I haven't
shot
met
at you, but like, different perspective. I said, when I said, oh yeah, I'm not taking a shot at you when I say that. That's like me more or less just saying there's different perspectives here, age gap and all. It's like, I think you're like.
Well, yeah, and even when I talk to, like, and in Japan at least, that doesn't seem to be the situation that you're talking about. And obviously, the West perception that I'm getting, like, I don't go on Tinder in London or anything, so.
I mean, we talked about this before, where I was like. I sort of jokingly said like, oh, thank God we got Chinese girls over, immigrants over here, because like Asia seems to be fine with it. Like, you guys don't seem to have the issue of what I've described. It seems to be more or less a job issue for you guys, at least a job and an economic issue. Well,
let me say that the how would I put this? Don't put rose-colored glasses on about it, because Japan does have like I would say a certain degree of the people who are attracted to status and therefore dating like upwards with age-wise with people who have established careers and money sometimes.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Or
happen. I'm saying more or less.
What'd you say?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying more or less the women ego horror shit, that does not seem to be as much of an issue. Like, I tried, I made a couple of stamps and had we look around, right? Ironically, like most of the profile, like not ironically, but like most of the profiles I saw that was like, oh, I actually wouldn't mind talking to this girl. Most of them were Asian, and that's not like a yellow fever thing. They could have been fucking whatever. It was just like, oh, that's like they're not putting a million ass shots on their profile figure. That's all I'm interested in seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do. How'd I put this? Um, like to the degree that I do talk with modern, normal, like women on Discord or whatever,
Yeah.
which obviously sample size, sampling and all that. Um,
I don't think Crust is a good example.
what'd you say?
I don't think Crust is a good example.
Okay, well, yeah, but the thing is though, there will always be sort of like the fuck boys and the fuck girls, but like it
Yeah.
feels like there's a lot of people, especially with dating apps, where everybody is sort of being forced to put on like feels forced to put on a mask to maximize their ability to appeal to other people, and like the it creates this simultaneous system of like nobody really being themselves. And honestly, so I think that there's a lot of you know women that maybe you would look at their dating profile and be like, oh, shallow, horrible, appealing to the Chad Thundercocks, this person's worthless. That the actual person is decent. Granted, there's still a lot of people that are entitled complete asswipes in wherever you go in any society, right? And when you find out that the person is like that, it's just like, okay, scratch that one off the list. Um, but like, there's a lot of just normal, genuine, interesting, nerdy people that just want to chill and be cool. As far as maybe I just am lucky when I'm, meeting people online. Like, and when I say meeting people online, I don't mean, you know, OK Cupid or whatever. I mean just over some sort of like hobby or whatever. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
dating sites seem to be sort of collectively fucking over the psyches of everybody trying to use them as like a dating pool these days.
That and social media in general.
Oh yeah,
Social
yeah. No,
media
I'll
was
agree with that.
social media was a mistake. 100%. Yeah, no. Honestly, like as far as I'm concerned, I think everything I've talked about, it's all fucked, and I don't see it getting better. I see it getting worse, and yeah, I don't see it fixing. My goal is literally get in, get out, never have to deal with it again. That's their problem. They create a shit system for themselves. Fuck them.
Although I think that Scotland is one of those areas that's posed to be like not completely fucked by the climate change compared to other places. Um,
Oh no, we fuck ourselves in different ways.
yeah, I realize that. It's the human beings. It's not the rising sea levels that's going to be the issue.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no,
But
I mean, I've been pretty open about it. I have no intention of staying in this country, so yeah, that'll probably affect me in the end. But yeah, no, like no, this place is fucking hell. I know a lot of people who quite literally just got told by their parents, yeah, when you get out of school, leave. Like it's
what was the rationale behind that?
there's no money in this country.
Oh, okay. Oh, leave. Oh, you meant like leave the country,
Yeah.
not like
Not the
get
house.
out of my house.
Yeah, no, leave the country. Like
Huh?
I think I've said before, like we have a really bad brain drain here. I think I literally titled the last episode "Why is everyone leaving Scotland?" So I'm afraid we're retreading a little. But nah, like I don't know what's gonna make shit better. I'm the poor bastard who can like see there's a problem but can't do shit to fix it, and the people who could fix it ain't doing shit. which is
Yeah.
what it is. But I think if anything should be taken away from this, it's that it doesn't cost NASA's budget to have a kid. Take that away from this episode. That's what everyone should take away from it. If you want a kid, just do it. Don't sit crying about how it costs too much. Go outside and have sex with a woman.
Meh. Meh.
But nah. Yeah. I'm aware this has been like a bit of a serious discussion. I don't know if I can put this under the comedy category. I usually do, but I think today is where we've taken the piss a little bit and gone, nah, we can't now.
Nah. But
I might try.
yeah.
I might try tag this so it's gets recommended to loads of people who watch like there's like YouTube channels about like motherhood and all that. Like there's family channels. I'll try just like tag it for those.
Aren't we swear? Don't we swear a bunch? Like, maybe you shouldn't do that, friend. Maybe that's
I don't think you swear that much.
Okay. I feel like I naturally just drop f-bombs everywhere, but nonetheless,
At least not like
though
at least not to a noticeable degree.
Oh, okay.
It's not it's not like when I saw them play to serve and their vocalist literally just said the word fuck in every sentence. Like that, I mean, mid band, but also like mid vocalist. She literally just couldn't go a sentence without saying the word fuck. It was actually embarrassing. And I have to sit through an employee to serve set in 2 weeks. They're mid. They're not bad. They're just like painfully eh.
That does seem to.
And if the vocals from employee to serve is listening, I don't know your name. Maybe watch your language a little bit. Like both the other bands I saw that night, both their vocalists could say a sentence about you swearing. You should try it sometime. People might take you seriously a bit more. Maybe you won't be opening the shows, you'll be closing them. Or maybe just make better music. I don't even know what to describe them as. Do they fall under prog? Time to look up employed to serve on the Metal Archive so I can know what genre to call them. So I don't get clowned on the internet. Because people get really, really autistic about that shit, including me. They're not on the Metal Archive.
Huh.
Good to know. Yeah, loads of bands are like kind of on the edge of being metal, I guess, aren't on it. Did I get the name wrong in some way? No, I got it right. They're just not on it. But yeah, now like there's loads of bands who are just not on it. Who like I argue do fall under metal. It's Metal Archive's weird like that.
Yeah.
Where you'll have some obscure sludge metal band from Dundee that broke up a decade ago on it, but you'll have like a popular modern band who just aren't on it. It's kind of funny like that.
Yeah. But I mean, granted, you do want, well, to some degree. I like it when you've got those like minor things that like are undeniably within genre, but it's just like, who's ever heard of these guys? I'm actually sort of sad that I know these dudes that do a sort of parody comedic metal band in Japan.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this before.
Yeah. I'm sort of sad that they don't have. I need to check if they're going to put their music on Spotify because one of them did the soundtrack for a sort of erotic visual novel that one of his friends put out, and I swear to God, the soundtrack for that game was fucking bonkers awesome heavy metal, right? And I keep asking, like, when are you going to release the soundtrack? I don't want to have to, like, boot up this fucking game and have it running in the background to listen to. Like, when are you just going to, like, release it as a freaking soundtrack? Still hasn't happened. It's been, like, God, probably been, like, freaking 18 years or something? Anyway. If I ever manage to get that damn soundtrack out of the dude, I'll pass it over to you and you can tell me what you think of the instrumentals. But
Alright. But yeah, no. Metal Archive's weird like that.
yeah,
Where,
yeah.
Like, sometimes it's not even bands who are, like, teeter on. Yeah, there's some who are, like, kind of on that weird edge. So, like, I don't know if you've ever listened to the band Bloodywood.
Yeah, I listened to like one or two songs.
They're decent.
I like what they're trying to go for, but
Yeah.
there's another guy that does stuff in a similar vein that I prefer.
Yeah, they've got like one or two songs that are really pretty good, and the rest is like it's decent, but like they're kind of like in that weird spot, and yet they're not on the Metal Archive. As I said, Employed to Serve aren't on it, but then like Lorna Shore gets put on it, and I'd argue they're not metal.
Huh.
They're deathcore if you don't know.
Oh, okay.
They're like probably the biggest deathcore band. They're mid as fuck. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They're really mid. They're playing over here later this year, but one of the bands who's a support band for them is Rivers of Nile. Rivers of Nile are really good. I'm pissed I didn't see them last year because the vocalist left not long after they played here. But they're playing with a new vocalist, and they're one of the opening bands for them is one of the bands they're opening. The band they're opening for is just Lorna Shore. It's two of our deathcore bands, and I'm not seeing it because it's three deathcore bands and Rivers of Nile. And if it was like anyone else, I'd see it just because I want to see Rivers of Nile. But like, nah, fuck Lorna Shore. Literally, that would be me sit through two deathcore sets I don't like, watch Rivers of Nile, and then leave. That apparently happens sometimes. Where like people show up for one band and then just all leave when the headliner plays. I heard last year when Anthrax and Municipal Waste played in Glasgow, the set the energy in the room just died when Anthrax came on stage.
Oh, really?
Apparently people went crazy for Municipal Waste set, and then the entire atmosphere just died when Anthrax started playing.
That's
Would maybe explain why Municipal Waste are headlining a tour this year now.
I didn't realize Anthrax was something that people like didn't like, so to speak, didn't
They're kind of
But
mid.
Municipal Waste, I've never heard of Municipal. Okay, crossover thrash.
They're good.
Oh, they're from 2001. Shit, they've been doing their thing for a while then.
Yeah, they're good. I have a Municipal Waste patch in my battle jacket. They're a good band.
Oh, okay.
But
Nice.
no, Anthrax have always been kind of like divisive. Like if you talk to your average person about the Big Four, they'll tell you Anthrax is the worst band in it.
Yeah, that's true. I
agree
have
with
heard
saying
that they're the worst in the Big Four. But I just assumed that by still being in the Big Four, that they had a certain amount of cachet.
Loads of people can't stand them.
Ah, okay.
I think they're kind of like, they're kind of mid. They're pretty mediocre, I'd say. They shouldn't be in the Big Four. It should be Testament or Exodus instead of them. It shouldn't be Anthrax. Honestly, if Death Angel was more popular, I'd say it should be Death Angel. But it should probably be Testament. Who are really good, actually. Took me ages to get into Testament because I just didn't jive with their album art. I don't know what it was about. Something about them was just like, nah. And then I actually went and listened to them and they're really good.
So wait, can I ask you something about the Big Four?
Yeah.
Like, as a metalhead.
Yes.
So my understanding is Anthrax is just number 4. Period.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like nobody will contest that.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And then generally speaking, Slayer is number 3.
No, Slayer's my number one.
Okay, okay.
Slayer's
That
my
was the
number
thing I was
one.
going to ask. That was the thing I was going to ask, because it feels like... Okay, how to put this? For metal normies, Slayer might be number 3.
Yeah, if you're a normie, Slayer's number 3. If you're really into metal, Slayer's number 1.
Okay, okay. And then, if I guess then maybe it might be just decided. If you're a normie, it's Metallica 1, Megadeth 2, Slayer 3, Anthrax 4,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. That if you're a normie, that's your dick.
If you're a metalhead, it's Slayer number 1, Megadeth number 2, Metallica number 3, Anthrax 4.
Metallica and Megadeth can be interchangeable.
Interchanged?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's more or less preference with us two. I think Megadeth are much, much better than Metallica. Like, I would go as far as say there's like a huge divide in quality between the big four, because it should be the big two realistically, Slayer and Megadeth. Because like, I'd rank they both of them very highly. Metallica have 4 pretty good albums, and then a lot of shit. And Anthrax have always been kind of mid. I could name you 2 Anthrax songs off the top of my head. That's about it. And the only reason I know one of them was because the time signature is all weird. And a band in my local area stole the riff from the song. That's the only reason I know that song. Like, they're just kind of Like, if I was to go like what I think the big four should be, like, ignore popularity, just quality, it would, like, based on old bands that I'm not including like the new wave of thrash metal, probably be Slayer, Megadeth, Death Angel, and Testament.
Okay.
It also has to be American bands, because Germany have their own big four of Creator, Sodom, Tankard. I want to say it's Destruction. I've never listened to Tankard or Destruction. Creator,
have you listened to Exodus? Because that's coming up as a possible, like...
Exodus are good. Exodus are good.
Okay.
I think Testament are better. I think Testament are
Okay.
more popular. Exodus are good though. I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but they kind of fell off. Sorta. Their first album is much better than the rest of their discography. The rest of their discography ain't bad. It's quite good actually. But their first album, Bonded by Blood, is their best. And it's like not comparable. But no, Exodus are good. I don't love Exodus, but they're good. But there are a lot of thrash bands I would rate above Exodus. But
Okay, and Exodus is, like, you know how they have those, like, which member is in the band at what time charts?
Yeah.
Yeah, Exodus is not having a good time.
No. I mean, fucking Kirk Hammett was in Exodus for a while.
They had...
Yeah, they had a lot of members.
Yeah.
Have they ever had a what's that? Do they have band members? Okay, they do list of X. So there's a whole article.
Yeah, it's got its own Wikipedia page.
Oh my god. Yeah, so no member has been in the band for the entire. Okay, no, one of the guitarists has. But look, no, he hasn't. Yeah,
No,
none of them have.
nobody has been in the band for the entire time.
Yeah. 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 That's,
Though Gary Holt is the closest.
Yeah. Yeah. It was best with Bailoff. I'll stand by that. But it was best with Bailoff. But yeah, they have. Yeah, I've got the timeline up here. Yeah, they have a lot of members. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who say they should be Big Four. Yeah, there's a whole part on their Wikipedia page about it. Yeah, people have argued it should be the big five because X's are just important. Dave Mustaine apparently said that.
Oh,
Nah,
Dave.
it shouldn't be the big five. It should be the big four, just without Anthrax.
Fair enough.
And I think most people would agree with that statement. They're everyone's Anthrax are everyone's number four. Like at most, I think the only people who don't rank Anthrax number four are people who really fucking hate Megadeth or people who really fucking hate Metallica. And it's just they hate one of those bands so much that they rank Anthrax below them. They rank them below Anthrax. So yeah, no one like of sane mind ranks Anthrax above four. And I think if you're that guy, if you're the band who no one of same mind ranks you above worst, you probably shouldn't be in it. Because I think if you added Exodus or Testament, the rankings would be more diverse.
You wouldn't have the constant last.
Yeah. With either of them, I'd probably go like Slayer stays one, no matter who it is. It's Slayer or number one. Testament would maybe make number two. So if it was Testament, they could be two or three. It's up in the air between them and Megadeth. Metallica 4. If it's Exodus, it would be Slayer 1, Megadeth 2, Exodus 3, Metallica 4. Like, yeah. Honestly, I think if you removed Anthrax, most people's number 4 would be Metallica, who are like not normies. Normies, Metallica still be number 1. But yeah, if you're not one of these people who dick rides Metallica for some reason, and there's a lot of people who dick ride Metallica for some reason, if you're not a Metallica dick rider, they're probably going to be your number 4. If you're based off their entire discography and not just the fresh stuff, but even if it's just the fresh stuff, I'm still ranking them number 4. I don't know that as a band they've just never connected with me properly. Like, they've got some good, like, Master of Puppets, good album. Ride the Lightning, good album. And Justice for All, might go far as say great album. Should have had bass in it. Kill 'Em All, I'm not too familiar with it. But like, none of it's like ever blown me away. And maybe it's because I listened to Megadeth first. Maybe if you listen to Megadeth first, it just ruins your perception of Metallica forever because they're so much better. But like, I'm sorry, you can't listen to Holy Wars and then go, Master of Puppets blew me away. Like, nah.
Oh God, Holy Wars is...
It's so much better. Like, they're not even on a similar tier from each other. Though Angel of Death's better than all of them. But yeah, like they're not even on similar tiers. And yeah, that's what I find frustrating about the Big Four. Especially because there's so many people who only listen to the Big Four as their thrash metal, when it's like, well, the Big Three, because no one listens to Anthrax. And like, there's a world of thrash metal out there. That's why like I'm opposed and not opposed to having there be a Big Four for modern thrash as well, because, well, it actually might get people listening to the new wave thrash metal, but at the same time it will just create the same issue of there will be 4 bands everyone listens to and that's it. Also, like, the thing is with the modern the new wave of thrash is like, if you ask someone what should be the Big Four of it, you will get so many different answers. Like,
well, this is one thing where I'm glad that they haven't tried to be like, heavy-handed with channeled algorithms on a lot of the music sites. Well, maybe they are, and I just haven't noticed because I'm, listening to weird shit that isn't getting heavy channeling or something. But
maybe.
One of the things I've really liked about like the internet really opening up the ability to curate like listening to weird stuff, and then with Netflix or not Netflix, with Spotify in particular is really good on like you can have some band with like 1,000 listeners per month or whatever. And at the bottom, it'll be like other people who listen to this band also often listen to these bands, right? Like,
Yeah,
and you can sort of get a little network of like, okay, well, if I like German neo-pagan folk music that mixes in like vuvuzelas or whatever, then a lot of the other people who like that also listen to these guys, and you can listen to them and be like, okay, well, this isn't my thing, this isn't my thing, this isn't my thing. Oh, this is my thing. I never knew this 500 listener per month band. And I do think it has really made it so that you've got a lot more variety in people's individual likes because it's a lot easier for them to find and listen to weird shit if they want to, right? Or like niche things that appeal to their specific tastes. And I think that's great. God, I love that. Yes! Yes! Break the strangleholds of the big ones. Ugh.
I mean, if you're listening to big musicians, that doesn't really apply as much. So
Yeah.
if you listen to Metallica, you're not going to be finding a 500 listener bands, and it's even it
No.
still has that issue where if you go listen to 500 listener bands, some of the ones that do come up will also be like big ones because they're most likely to have people who are like, oh yeah, they. So like if you listen to some tiny band, there's a chance that like, oh, you'll both end up listening to some like, cause like yeah, if I go on Acid Witch for example, and you go and people listen to this as well, there are big doom metal bands who are on it. You've got Electric Wizard who, like 200 monthly listeners does not sound big, but for doom metal, stoner metal, Electric Wizard are massive in. Or you've got Church of Misery who are pretty big as, well, at least when it comes to Japanese doom metal, they're pretty big. They're real good though. I am annoyed they don't come to the UK. They just play. Oh, actually, no, they're playing in London. I'm not going to London. Oh shit, they're playing in Bristol as well. Wow, they're playing two places nowhere near me. But Church of Misery are pretty good. But
Okay.
yeah, it can have the issue of promoting bigger artists, but like Spotify certainly helped smaller bands get out there. 100%. Yeah, because like actually being an independent musician is like a million times easier now, where you can find bands you would never find before. Like I've been listening to a lot of Lucid Planet, and if Spotify didn't exist or the internet didn't exist, I would never have found Lucid Planet because they don't. Leave,
Oh yeah.
they don't leave Australia, and I'm not going to Australia to see a Lucid Planet show. Also, their fucking merch is ridiculously priced.
That's too bad.
They charge $40 for a shirt. Are you taking the piss? That is a piss take if I've ever seen one, and that's coming from the guy who spent £30 on 2 patches recently. Not even a joke, but yeah.
I mean,
they were high quality patches, and they were coming from Milwaukee, but because yeah, for some reason when I'm ordering metal merch, I end up buying shit from really far away. Patches from Milwaukee, patches from Mexico. I ordered a snapback that no longer fits me because of my hair from Argentina. And I'm kind of annoyed that doesn't fit me because I like that hat, but like the hair makes it hard to wear because it takes up so much space in my head.
though, Alistair, I might need to go use the restroom again. I probably spiced my curry a bit too spicy
Alright,
last night.
I wouldn't know about that.
So
Fresh.
now you get to have your little 5 minutes of filling it however you want to, or
Oh,
just
cool.
editing it out.
Cool. I might put on a song. I'll get something that's like that I won't get copyright struck if I play.
Okay. I'll
And
so
I'll hope it,
you all enjoy your time
I think I'll.
with
How long do
Alistair.
you think you'll be? That will depend which song I play.
Oh, maybe 7 minutes or something. Like
Alright.
5 would be hard, I think, for me to hit. But
Alright.
I'll try to be listening like 10.
All right. I'll put one that's 9:38.
Okay, okay. I'll probably come in part of the like near the end, but let me
All
know
right.
if I should just like listen. All right.
All right.
See you in a bit.
And this it will be Organic Hard Drive by Lucid Planet.
Wait, how long was that? Wait, are you still there?
Okay, I'm there. Yeah.
Okay.
That was 7 minutes 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'll turn it down slightly and let the song finish while we talk.
Sure.
But yeah, that is Organic Hard Drive by Lucid Planet. The song will be linked in the description. I already linked their music anyway because they made our intro song. So, but yeah, I guess I feel like those like old radio shows that get uploaded now to Spotify where they have like music in between. Like, did you ever watch did you ever listen to the XFM shows Ricky Gervais did with Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington? Or is that like
once or twice?
they're good. I have very mixed feelings on Ricky Gervais, but they're good.
Fair enough. I think a lot of people have very mixed feelings on Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, he sometimes comes off as really based, and sometimes comes off as a complete twat. And I'm gonna be honest, I think most of his success is down to Stephen Merchant. That guy, really talented. Great voice actor, excellent writer. I think most of it, he's kind of just got it all.
Yeah, it's surprising how, like, how'd I put this? Not well known he is, considering how much of a hard hitter he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he wrote one of the most iconic British shows of all time that then became probably the most iconic American comedy of all time. He was one of the two main voice actors of Portal 2, which pretty massive game. He was in Logan, a substantial enough role. Like, he's done his shit, and it's. I think if you're British, you'll know the name at least. Like, he's known here, but that's because
in the West, I think people know his face and don't know his name, and some people might not even know his face at this point.
Yeah, I think you'd recognize it. I think most people would recognize his voice. Well, at least most people who play video games would recognize his voice from Portal 2 at least. Okay, that's the song over. I think most people recognize most gamers. I hate using that word, but I think most of them would recognize his voice. But like, at least here in Britain, like, most people know the name. But that's because The Office is pretty big over here. So, and he wrote it and he's in it. So, and those podcasts are pretty popular as well. Like, honestly, like, the internet is kind of it's because propelled those podcasts more into the spotlight. Like, I found them because my dad likes them, so he showed me them. But like, loads of people are learning about them because HBO like adapted them into an animated series ages ago called The Ricky Gervais Show, and like that shit gets clipped now, put on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and people see that, and it's like, that's good because that show is really good. That is a really, really good show. But yeah, have you ever watched it? The Ricky Gervais Show?
Maybe like once or twice or a clip or something.
You
like, I
should.
feel like I've seen a bunch of pieces of his stand-up and whatnot, but
oh no, the best stuff was the Ricky Gervais Show, the XFM radio show. Because
the radio show. I know I have seen a couple of things where people took clips of it and animated it, like freaking Carl Pilkington going on about like the monkeys in space with the bananas and shit.
That was the HBO show. So they took the radio show and made it into an animated series where they like gave visuals of all what they're talking about. So that's what that is. But like, Carl Pilkington just seems to be like unknown to everyone outside the UK for some reason. Which is a shame because he's really funny. I really like Carl. I can look over right now and I can see one of his books on my shelf because I own like 2 of them. They're funny reads.
He wrote books?
Yeah, he's got a few books. Most of them are about,
Okay.
most of them are about like his like travels because he did like did you ever watch An Idiot Abroad?
No, no.
So they had the show where Ricky and Steve they sent him like to all these really exotic places around the world because like Carl's like your average like Brit who like he's like this guy just he doesn't like change, doesn't like things being different. So they send him to like India and he has to go to all these crazy things, or they send him to China and stuff like that, just to get his like perspective on it. It's a really funny show, but like when he was doing all these travels, he wrote books about it, like diaries, and those were then like adapted into books you could read, where you could like get his perspective on stuff while he's doing it, not just what you see in the show. Like him write down his feelings about what he's seen and all that. They're good books. Like I'd recommend watching the show and then reading them, but you could do either or. But I'd say both are definitely worth your time. They're just funny. Like they're not highbrow or anything, but they're just funny books.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like Britain's weird like that, where it's like we have people like that who are like really popular here and only here, but like they sort of have like these cult followings like everywhere else, despite the fact they all speak English. So a lot of people in the West would be able to understand everything they're saying. They just don't get that far out there. Like another example that comes to mind is, do you know who Louis Theroux is?
Yeah, the documentarian, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Massive fan of his work, and he's popular over here as well. But like, how many like Americans do you think could tell you who Louis Theroux is? When
Why
like
not that many? I mean,
exactly.
his documentaries I don't think get famous over here that much.
Yeah, and they're really good. Massive Louis Theroux fan. Again, I can look over at my shelf and I can see one of his books on it because he also wrote books and they're good books. Um, and have you watched many of his documentaries or any?
Just a couple. I think I watched one about like prisoners or
He has
something.
quite a few about prison.
Okay.
Uh, he had a really good show called Weird Weekends, where he was like he'd just go spend time with these like weird, sometimes offensive subcultures. So like there, and then he had his own. Then he would just start doing his own one-offs, where quite a lot of what his documentaries are about are like controversial subjects. So like there's one where he goes and spends time with neo Nazis, or porn stars, or whatever, and yeah, he goes into a lot of really touchy subjects. But I I think the best way to describe him is he's the opposite of Michael Moore. Because you know how Michael Moore is like, he's not subtle. He
He goes into documentary making with a specific message in mind. That's
yeah, but he's also just the worst interviewer ever because he's so inflammatory and aggressive that like he gets nothing out of the person he's interviewing because he's like immediately on the attack and they go fuck this guy and they storm off and all that. Louis Frew is the
no.
exact opposite, where
I
he's
in
really
the
good.
past he was better.
Oh yeah,
Michael Moore
he was
on that.
better. He was better, but yeah, he's not great.
Yeah, he's not great.
Louis is the exact opposite. Louis is really good at getting people to trust him and to actually get things out of what they are saying. So like his best series of documentaries is he did a trilogy of these, where he's called the most hated family in America, and it's about this like almost like cult group.
The
What were they
the
called?
Westboro Baptist Church.
Westboro
It's got to
Baptist
be the
Church.
Westboro.
It was
Yeah.
the Westboro Baptist Church, and he goes and spends time with them, and he does this 3 different times over the years. So each time you see like all the changes that have happened in this group, and like he's never inflammatory with them. He simply just is asking them like just why they're thinking what they think and all that, and eventually you get like moments where it's almost like they are breaking through all the shit that's going through their mind because of the Westboro Baptist Church when they're talking to him. really, really interesting.
Oh,
And he's like, yeah, as I said, he's the opposite of Michael Moore. Michael Moore would never have gotten that out of any of them. He would have immediately just been on the offensive on all these people, although he's the complete antithesis to this. Like, to the point where, like, the book I have over there, right, is where he goes and visits 10 people, 10 of these groups that he had done documentaries on in the past, and, like, as just oh, where are they now, and just seeing them again and seeing what's happened in their life. Like, Michael Moore would never have been able to do it because none of these fucking people would have ever wanted to see him ever again. Well, like, Louis is so good at it and getting people to trust him that he can go make a documentary where he's clearly not pro neo-Nazism in the slightest, and the neo-Nazis will invite him back. Like, yeah, that, and he gets so much more out of his documentaries than a Michael Moore would.
yeah.
They're absolutely worth watching. Loads of them are on British Netflix at least, but you can find them online. And yeah, tons of them are worth watching. I'd probably go as far as say nearly every documentary he's made is worth watching. They're all really good. And I would say I'm a massive Louis Theroux fan. And Americans should, like, I wish he was more popular in America. And he's slowly getting that. I mean, he has a podcast on Spotify now that, like, Spotify paid for. Like, it's Wonder Originals, which, though it's not documentaries, which is a shame, I hope that exposes him to more people from outside Britain, because I would go as far as say he is the greatest documentary maker of all time. He is that good at it. Or I would at least go far as say he's one of the greatest interviewers of all time.
Oh man, I didn't realize Weird Weekends was like 1998 to 2000.
Yeah, they're old. Some of these are old. He's been around for a while.
Yeah. I'll check that out. Though, wait, have you ever heard of? I think it dropped off the face of the earth, but there was this old BBC4 TV series called Faking It.
I've heard the name.
It was really cool. It was because it was a show where they took somebody who had like a little bit of experience peripheral to something. So like if they were a short order cook, the theme of it might be, you know, chef or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had a month with some expert to like prep them and train them. And then at the end of the month, like they'd get three professionals and the one person who was faking it, and have them all perform before a panel of like professionals in that industry, their job, and then the panel had to pick who was faking it.
All right.
And there wasn't any prize. It literally was just like, hey, do you want to be on this TV show for a month where you get trained by an expert and then you try to fool some experts into thinking that you're actually that job? And people are like, oh, okay, sounds cool. You bring in Gordon Ramsay or whatever. But it was actually a really interesting show. And, you know, like reality TV that wasn't just weird drama and dumb shit. It was more like, hey, what would, you know, can you pick up a skill like this? How does that work? Like, you know, what?
Yeah.
Let's look at these people. It was nice. It was nice. My mom really liked it. She showed it to me, but apparently it's like impossible to get these days. So maybe I'll try to find a DVD on the internet or something.
Yeah, I've never really been a reality TV person. I like documentaries. That's about it, really.
It is better. I will agree with you on that.
Yeah, you get some good documentaries out there, but besides that, like, I don't watch TV in general. What I always say to people is, in the last 12 months, I've watched 2 and a bit shows, and that is it. Like, I don't watch TV at all.
Well, that's good, honestly. And fucking TV's garbage.
And the only shows I watch are like weird Adult Swim cartoons and shit like that, because I have a dumb sense of humor. So all 3 shows I have watched were Adult Swim shows. One of them is basically blackballed by Adult Swim and they want no connection with it. But
yeah, you mentioned that one, yeah.
World Peace. World Peace 2 is coming as well. I cannot wait.
Oh, is it?
They just finished. They just wrapped up filming it. I absolutely can't wait. But now the other two I watched was Smiling Friends. I don't know if you watched that. That's pretty funny, and Metalocalypse, which that's really fun
I love
song.
Metalocalypse.
Yeah, it's good. The theme song was way harder than it should. Like it's that the riff in it is so good.
I mean, all of the songs in
Oh yeah.
that are way harder than they should be. But
Yeah.
I have a friend actually who was a producer on that show.
Oh really?
So, yeah, and you know how they've got like the segments where they show like the fans like dying in various ways in
Yeah.
the performances.
Yeah.
A bunch of those are like crew for the
Oh really?
for the show. Yeah. So like I if I went back I could like be like, okay, so in episode 11 when like this happens, like you see this guy right here, like the Asian guy with the glasses whose head gets chopped in half, that's my friend. Like
That's kind of cool actually. That's pretty neat.
yeah. But
Nah, that's a good show.
no, it's yeah, the Metalocalypse was oh god, it's Metalocalypse was
It's
great.
coming back for a movie. Like, they're
I'm
finishing
glad.
series.
I'm glad. I mean, man, that show punched hard even from the first episode. Like the Duncan Hills coffee jingle had me like rolling on the fucking ground.
No, I always loved when they went to the supermarket, and they're just such fucking morons. Murderface asking this old woman about what's in lemon tart, just not saying what it is though, or Nathan doing the ingredients for it's like, oh, I need this, I need a cup of sugar. Just gets the sugar and pours the cup in the store. They're so fucking dumb. I love it. It's such a funny show. But have you watched Smiling Friends by any chance?
No, not yet.
Oh, you should. It's good. It's really good as well. That show is 100% worth a watch. I literally only watched it because Mike Stoklasa was in the first episode. But like, nah, that hooked me. I literally was gonna watch the first episode and that's it, but nah, it's good. It's really good. Also, they should put Rich Evans in an episode. If they've already had Mike, they should put Rich in it. I don't know if you watch Red Letter Media at all, but just put Rich.
Not recently. Not recently. Their episode 1, 2, 3 movie reviews were sort of legends back in my time. Wait, can I tell you something?
All right.
I met a dude at work, and we were talking about movies, right?
Yeah.
We were doing like a Korean barbecue thing and talking about movies. I was sort of glad that actually at the table I had like so everybody, what's your movie that you wish like everybody else in the world could understand how amazing it is? And I was like, for mine it was Millennium Actress, and one of the other people at the table was like, mine is also Millennium Actress, which automatically made it the default like winner of the night, right?
Yeah.
Kind of hard to get 2 votes, but no. This one guy was like, Star Wars Episode 1. And he said, the first Star Wars, and in Japanese, and I'm like, the first? You mean like episode 4? He's like, no, episode 1, like Phantom Menace. And I was like, episode 1, and he's like, oh shit, no, you're like a 4, 5, 6 guy, right? And I'm like, episode 1. But wait, do you have like much of a dog in the race, and like the because like obviously. 4, 5, 6 back before 1, 2, 3 came out, it was just 4, 5, 6 is perfect, and you'd argue between like people of like which was the best within the trilogy, but it was sort of good natured.
I don't know. If
Then
this
like
is
1,
gonna
2, 3 comes out,
Yeah.
huh?
I don't know if this is gonna be a hot take, but 6 is shit. Like 6 is.
Yeah, like 6. I'm not gonna try to the whole little forest bears killing Imperial.
That's
Yeah.
That's not my entire issue with it. It's I don't care that much about that part. It was the whole part with Jabba makes no sense, and Han Solo and Leia are just kind of just there standing around for the end of it. The stuff with Luke on Death Star 2, really good, but like some of the Emperor, Luke, and Vader, excellent. The rest of it's just bad. Like if you take the whole Jabba's palace scene and try break down what Luke's plan is, it's like, what was his plan? It makes no sense. So he sent droids in to get captured and do nothing. So why did he send the droids in? Then he sends Leia in to try get Han, but then she gets captured and so does Chewbacca. So then he goes in himself to fight a Rancor and then get captured. And then he has to assume that they're all going to be taken out to be jumped into the Sarlacc pit and not just shot in the head immediately.
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all. And I don't know. Everyone like jerks
Fair
off
enough.
Jabba's palace stuff, but like it literally makes no sense.
Fair enough. Like, but I did want to ask you though. Are you? And I'm not gonna give you crap. I go and I surf prequel memes. I enjoy it. Even with this guy, I didn't give him too much shit. Even though I hate, like, of the first 6, I hate 1 the most. Right?
Oh, 2's worse. 2's worse.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I realize this is probably like the rebellious teenager in me at the time. Like, the degree to which number 1, like, is a kid's movie, like, really was not my thing. And then even later, when you've got stuff like the Machete Order, which or the Machete Order, that makes it clear that number 1 didn't even really give you anything about Anakin's journey. It's like a story of 2 Jedi discovering Anakin. It's more Obi-Wan's story and, you know, making things sort of uncomfortable in an age gap sense with Padme when you think about it.
I kind of disagree. I think.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I think the whole the final fight with Maul.
The final fight with Maul is fucking legendary.
No,
I will give credit.
The fight itself is good, but no, it's like around that. Like Qui-Gon dying might be the most important aspect to why Anakin became Vader. That's why it's called the Duel of the Fates, because it's essentially about because Anakin like clearly needed a father figure. He didn't have one. Qui-Gon was the father figure. Obi-Wan was like a brother, and he needed Qui-Gon. And because Qui-Gon dies there, he's just not like Obi-Wan's good, but he's not the father Anakin needs. He's a brother, and you can even see that when Obi-Wan's like talking to Anakin when Anakin's like cut in half. He's telling me you were a brother to me. That's not what Anakin needed at that moment. He needed a father. And
fair enough, but that is sort of like making an entire movie about Jor-El, right? If like they made a Superman movie and it was literally just Jor-El and Zod and everybody dealing with Krypton, and at the end of the movie they shot Superman on Earth.
That sounds interesting. I'll take it.
Yeah, actually, it would be kind of interesting. But I would just say it wouldn't be a Superman movie, right? It's like a Superman universe movie, and it sets up a Superman movie, and it would actually be pretty interesting. I would go watch it.
Yeah,
but
I thought a lot of the stuff, the like open section of Man of Steel was interesting.
The opening section of Man of Steel actually was pretty good. I will agree. And fucking dude, I love Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is such a good fucking actor. Holy fucking shit.
Honestly, I don't know if this will be a hot take, but I think Zack Snyder's really underrated. Like
Zack Snyder is a good visual director. Also, the left, the cinephile left has gotten wise to the fact that he's like an Ayn Randian, like lib right.
Oh, yeah.
You're pseudo lib right dude who likes strongmen characters, you know?
Oh yeah, I 100% think with all the Warhammer stuff that's being made, get him to make a show about the Space Marines. He's like, the Snyder's really good at making people seem like gods among men. Like,
Yeah, no, his style would work really well, and it seems like if he was into the material at all, he would actually work really well with that. Now that I think about it.
have someone else just write the movie, but have Snyder direct it, because like his visual stuff can be really dark at times. That fits Warhammer really well. Like the whole, like if you look at 300 or his version of Justice League or any of his movies, he portrays people like genuinely like gods among men. Like I think that was the difference between his Justice League and like the Avengers movies. Like the Avengers come off as kind of human, like they were joking about and all that. Snyder's they're like they're like gods, and him portraying like if he was to make a movie where it's like guard and Marines, where it's like you're seeing the Marines from the guard's perspective with Snyder's vision, like that would be incredible. That would be like he would be that's his perfect film to direct. But I just think he's really. I think people give him way too much shit. I don't think he's a particularly good writer. I wouldn't even say he's decent. He's downright bad at times. I don't think his Watchmen movie is that bad. I think he misunderstands a couple of the characters really badly. But just as a visual director, I think he is incredible. I think he has.
No, he's a good visual director, and
when he has a vision for someone, I think he is incredible. But no one gives him that credit. I've heard people unironically say like, "Oh, his DC movies look shit." No, they don't. I don't think Batman vs Superman was that bad, and I think the visuals are a lot of it. The director cut of that movie is actually pretty solid, and I will stand by that.
I don't think I've seen the.
It's like some of it, the editions are really dumb, and some of it's really good. Like adding Jimmy Olsen at the start bit so he can get shot in the head was really dumb, and it was textbook Snyder edginess. But like, it's actual like there's a lot. It's like another half hour was cut out of that movie, and it explains a lot of it gives a lot of context to stuff that didn't make sense in the original. It's actually quite good, and yeah, I'll stand by that. But I'm also like, I'm a moron who finds like taking a fantasy thing and adding politics to it really interesting. Like people always complain about trade routes in prequels. I thought the trade routes were interesting because universally that would have political shit. Like, what about trade routes? I think that's interesting, and the whole and I think the whole like thing of BVS being about like how humanity would react to the Superman existing is interesting. Is it the right way to set up a cinematic universe? Probably not, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
because like I like Watchmen a lot. I might go as far to say Watchmen is my favorite book of all time. I love that book. But Doctor Manhattan, the thing is, seeing Watchmen's like a different timeline. I've heard people say, why did he make BVS like this when he's already done Watchmen? His vision of BVS and his vision of Watchmen are, well, not his vision, but Watchmen and BVS are two different things altogether. BVS is Superman coming to exist in our modern world where it's 24-hour news cycles and all that. Watchmen is Cold War America in an alternate timeline. They are two very different things. So to say because he's done Watchmen he can't do BVS is fucking retarded. They're two completely different things.
Yeah, and more specifically, the characters within both of those stories are very different. Like Superman is very different in a mental and emotional sense than Dr. Manhattan.
Same thing with Batman.
Like 100%, right?
Yeah,
same with Batman and Rorschach, right? Like
they're different characters. Yeah,
and so,
but like, so many of the criticisms of that movie annoy me though. Like the people who like see because Batman, it appears he kills people in that movie, but like, that's the point. Like you missed the point in the movie altogether. Like the point is that he's like, it's an older Batman one of the Robins is dead because you got like that Joker statue of him. Like, he's done all this shit. He's just had enough, and he's kind of just become like jaded, and he's just stopped caring about criminal lives. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about using guns anymore because he's had enough. He's getting old. Like, that's why there's so much imagery from Dark Knight Returns, because it's an older Batman. And yeah, he's kind of just mentally become distant, and the point of like the movie is like Superman is like his optimism and his good is like getting him to become like the Batman he was before. And yeah, and people don't get that, and it's like, are you fucking stupid? Why does Batman use guns? Because it's the fucking point of the movie. Actually, it angers me so much. And it's like, how did you not... these people actually must be mentally special, because how did you miss the point of Batman versus Superman? It's literally called Batman versus Superman, and it's too complex for your smooth brain. How are you that dumb? But no, I think that movie's decent. The director's cut, at least the theatrical version, is very good. The director's cut, the Doomsday fight is still dumb and I don't like it. But it's actually a solid movie. I will stand by that. I think a lot of the ideas it presents are really interesting, even if they're not executed perfectly. Also, I just have a soft spot for Snyder's ridiculous edginess. I mean, he is the man who did once say if he made a Batman movie, he'd have him get raped in prison. Which is so funny. I can't hate him. It's such a stupid thing to say. It goes around from being like cringe to just being funny. Like,
So wait, do you mind if I like slightly pivot on this for
Alright.
something that came up with? So you're mentioning like all these people getting, sort of butthurt over Batman not being like the Batman that they think that Batman should be,
yeah.
right? And it does feed into this thing that I do think there can be an issue with people who like watch movies and refuse to allow themselves to get into the frame of the movie, and thus their critiques of the movie like oftentimes seem to be like, unless it's not like they're misunderstanding it in the sense that like some material fact in the movie they got mixed up in their brain. It's more like they're misunderstanding the movie in the sense that like they don't see what the movie is doing. Like,
yeah.
they don't understand what the hell it's trying to convey. And did you ever watch the movie Prometheus?
No, but I know bits and pieces about it.
Okay.
I know that apparently Jesus was one of those white guys in it. I want to say they're called the architects, but I don't think that's right.
The engineers? Maybe is what
Engineers,
maybe it's architects, maybe it's engineers.
I think
and
it's
it's not
engineers.
Jesus, but the creator of life.
Oh no,
right?
Apparently it's implied in that movie that Jesus was an engineer.
Oh, was it? Okay, I forgot that. Like, but the point is that movie, right, is generally lambasted for being full of characters that are supposed to be highly capable and highly intelligent, doing extremely stupid shit, and a whole bunch of things that happen in the movie like seem to not make any fucking sense, right?
Yeah,
and for a sci-fi movie, yeah, totally, it's true. That is true. But, and I read this article that really changed my mind about that movie, right? If you view the movie as being an allegory about the hubris of humanity and the nature of sacrifice, sin, fear of death, and like, the sacred versus the profane, it's actually a really interesting movie. And when I looked at the movie again in like that frame, it was true, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like most people going into the movie A, had no fucking idea that was the frame that it was aiming for. So they're just like, why is this biologist just aggravating an alien snake to get bit? Like, why is this fucking geologist with robot drone laser map creators getting lost? Why the fuck is everybody doing all of this dumbass shit? Like,
Yeah, I've never seen Prometheus, but like I'm probably gonna at some point because for like a big, it's an Alien franchise, so it's a big film.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
interesting, like how experimental you could say it is in ways. Like how much there actually is to it. I really think that's like Ridley Scott. I disagree with a lot of what he says when it comes to his own films. I think he's a bit of a fuckhead, but he's like one of those few directors who's able to actually like make stuff that's interesting still. And they're just like,
Wait, what Ridley Scott films have you seen, by the way? Because, like, man, that dude has some, like, highs and some lows.
Aliens, Blade Runner.
Well, Aliens is not him.
Was
That's,
it not him?
No, Aliens.
Was
Oh, I
Jim-
was going to tell you this. The first 4 Alien movies are all directed by different directors, and they're all Academy Award winners.
Oh right. Aliens was James Cameron, right?
Yes.
I don't know if this is gonna be a hot take, but I don't like Aliens.
Okay, that's a hot take, but
I think it's.
I
I think it's boring.
also am somebody
It's-
that will stand Terminator 1 over Terminator 2. So like I am I'll be okay with that hot take.
Aliens is boring. I'm just gonna go out and say it. I thought it was a boring movie. Like, none of the action was like entertaining in the slightest to me. There was-
Really?
it just didn't click with me. I was bored out of my mind watching it. I thought for like what they're going for, Terminator 2 did it way better because they kind of have similar ideas of like the horror last girl of both of them, Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley, becoming like this badass action hero, and the threat of the original becoming less so in the sequel, or becoming, how would I put it, not in the way that like in the original Alien, one alien is like fucking everyone up, and in Aliens are killing loads of them, right? And same thing with Terminator 2, where it's like, oh well, Arnold's now the good guy and all. It's like you're flipping all on its head. I thought
Yeah,
Terminator.
the unstoppable killing machine is now the underdog in Terminator 2.
Yeah, I thought Terminator 2 did it so much better. I really, really didn't care for Aliens at all. I don't get I don't get what like the hype around that movie is. I also didn't like Blade Runner though, so
Okay.
so I've seen Alien and I've seen Blade Runner now when it comes to his movies, and I'm like aware of a lot of them. I thought Blade Runner was fucking terrible though.
Did you watch Kingdom of Heaven?
I didn't.
I've heard the director's cut is good, but that was a little bit
I know
of a
Ridley.
slog.
I know Ridley Scott has a Napoleon movie coming out later this year with Joaquin
Oh
Phoenix.
yeah, that one looks decent. Though
looks interesting.
one of the things that a lot of people have said is a criticism, and I think this is totally legit, is that they should have cast somebody younger. Because like the thing about Napoleon is he fucking was just like wiping shit up in his 20s. He was God, was he even 30 when he became emperor? Like
No clue.
that was part of the thing of like what's so fucking amazing about Napoleon is that he wasn't some like old dude who had all of this experience under his belt then kicking the shit out of people. Like he was just raw dogging life.
Jesus.
Give me just a second.
Joaquin Phoenix is 48.
And give me a second. When was he born? Napoleon born 1769. Okay, so yeah, Napoleon died at 51, right?
Yeah.
And he became emperor at 35. Um, and so Italian campaigns of the French Revolution, 1797, which would have made him. Yeah, so okay. So like he was kicking a lot of ass in like his 20s, and then like his 30s was what, like the massive rise. So yeah, like 10 years too old, maybe
Yeah, he's
10 or
look.
15 years.
Yeah, he looks a bit. Yeah, he looks a little too old.
Well, especially for like the beginning of Napoleon's career. Having the same actor for the beginning of Napoleon's career feels weird.
Maybe they could do de aging or something, but yeah, he looks a little too old. I think he looks interesting though, but
Yeah, the movie looks interesting. I'm interested in going to go see it.
I'll probably see it if they show it the Odeon. I'll see it now because I get it for free. But
Though wait, was the Alexander movie also Ridley
I
Scott?
couldn't tell you. I would not say I'm much of a Ridley Scott fan.
Oh yeah, no. Well,
From
he
my
has a whole bunch of movies I fucking hate.
from my experience,
Um,
experience of seeing two movies by him, I like his ideas. I don't care for the execution because like I know people love to jerk off Blade Runner. Blade Runner is a shit movie. I'm sorry, it is. It's the book is so much better. It's like not even up for debate. The book is just, it's a million times better because that entire movie just falls apart based on the fact that the girl who plays the replicant and Harrison Ford have no chemistry at all, but we're meant to believe that they're falling in love and all that. They have zero chemistry at all. I don't buy it. I was literally the day I watched that movie, my mom walked into like the living room while I was watching it and just watched a bit of it, and she pointed that out as well. Like it's so apparent. But yeah, the book is way better.
okay.
Yeah, go read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep because I read the book and then I watched the movie, and I was like, nah, that was fucking terrible. Like, good effects for the time. You know, the effects still hold up, but that's about all it's got going for it.
Dude, Philip K. Dick has.
He's a
He's probably the author with the most novels and short stories that have been made into Hollywood movies.
he's a fucking crazy person, but I kind of like that.
He is. He is. He is fucking crazy. That dude went fucking insane.
Though at the same time,
Uh,
Stephen King might have more. Stephen King
oh
has a lot.
shit, you're right. Well, Stephen King is a fucking beast when it comes to writing.
I
You're right. You're
I,
right.
I don't know
Stephen
if I care
King's
for.
got.
I don't know if I care
Huh?
for Stephen King to be honest. I read a few of his books. I've read a few of his books, and I don't care for how he writes. I
Oh
feel,
really?
I feel he writes really dryly. I just
Oh really?
it's yeah. Also, he does so much cocaine. It's like parts of his books become like incomprehensible. Like did you
He
ever
did. He did. But yeah, the when you read the books that he does not remember writing, yeah.
did you ever read it?
No, I should have.
It's a
But obviously
fucking mess.
the when they're coming out of the sewers, you're going like, what?
That
What the
that
fuck?
not even that part. It's absolute like I've read all of it. It's like 800 pages or something. It's massive. It
Yeah.
is absolute fucking nonsense. Like
Wait, did you ever read The Stand? Because I thought The Stand was fucking great.
I never read The Stand. What ones did I read? I read Different Seasons, which is really hit or miss. I read The Shining,
Yeah.
which I liked the movie more. I'm not gonna lie. I read
Okay.
it. I read it. It has some really good points, and it is a fucking disaster at other points.
Yeah.
And I read Needful Things. I thought that was kind of meh. Like
Yeah.
the concept's neat,
Good concepts, but didn't always, stick the landing.
mediocre execution. And I read Cell, and I thought that one was really mid as well.
Yeah, no, Cell was mid. What would I suggest? Because I was a King fan, but I can also see where you're coming from on your criticisms.
I just
The
can't stand.
Stand is fucking great, dude.
I
And
just
like the
can't. I just
first
don't
three
like how he
Gunslinger
writes.
books, fucking, what'd you say? Yeah,
Just,
if you don't like how he writes, then nothing's gonna be good.
I'll be honest.
I'm just surprised because.
I tried reading The Dark Tower and I couldn't get into it.
Oh no shit. Okay,
I
yeah,
read.
I'm not gonna give you shit then.
I tried reading the first one and I just didn't get it.
Okay, because I thought
Uh,
the first was like the best of the Dark Tower. So
I
yeah, I
didn't.
guess you just
To be fair,
don't
I
don't
didn't
like
get
the
far.
way he writes. Yeah.
I just didn't get far, to be fair, but it was just like it didn't hook me at all. The only of his books that actually hooked me at all was it, and yeah, it is a fucking mess. It's a mess I'm really interested in because it's somehow like completely iconic, despite being arguably a terrible book. But that's like kind of why I find it interesting. Is it is an interesting book. Like I probably would read it again, but it's
I
bad.
think you enjoyed the stand though.
I might read it at some point, but
Okay,
yeah,
you know about it, right?
I know the name, and that's about it.
Oh really? Okay. It's. I mean, it starts off with this plague destroying all of humanity, most of humanity, and so like the first like half of the. God, at the time I think it was his longest book.
How long is it?
Give me a second. The stand. Not the standard. The stand. Don't autocomplete that shit. Uh, First publication was 823, but then they made like a director's cut. That's 1,153 pages.
Okay, so I've got I literally just reached around onto my bookshelf and just picked it up at random because I could tell it was it because of how big it was.
Yeah,
One
it's so it's like 12 pages longer than it.
basically 1,166.
Okay, okay. So that's
And-
including like forward and all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I read it. Yeah, it's. What I thought was really interesting was the version I have is like the one like advertised around the movie. Like now a major motion picture. Anyone who goes and watches that movie and then tries to read the book is going to be like, what the fuck is this? I only saw the first part of the movies they made. I saw the first part, I thought it was fine. It's got some serious issues, but I thought it was fine. I thought the Tim Curry version is the same thing. But I remember when the first part of the new movies came out, and like, that movie popped, like, got really popular randomly out of nowhere for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, no, like I don't know. I've never connected with Stephen King, and I've never got why he was so popular.
Well, that's because I mean, how would I say this?
He has a lot of good
The
concepts.
main thing that most people, what'd you say?
I think he has a lot of good concepts. His execution's really poor.
Well, and the main thing that I think most people like about his writing actually is the writing, right? Like, or the concepts and the writing. They hate his endings. The man does not know how to stick an ending well, right? He generally flubs the ending.
Yeah.
But most people I've talked to that enjoy his books like find the working of the text to be something that sucks them in, so they don't like have to fight it, right? Which is why I was surprised when you said that it doesn't work for you.
That's the exact opposite. I feel like I have to fight it when I read a Stephen King book.
Yeah, in that case, don't. I mean, how would I put this? Like, people that like reading his text have mixed feelings about his books. So if you don't like reading his text, then I really think that maybe he's not the guy for you. But but The Stand apparently is considered one of his best books. And also, some people consider it be like one of the best like epic horror novels or whatever. But
honestly, like, well, I think I just got really weird taste with that. It's like, I've heard loads of people say that J.K. Rowling is like, how she writes is awful, and I've heard loads of people say this. And I haven't read Harry Potter in a long fucking time. I read as a kid, but like I always find her way of writing really easy to read. and like she's not like I have a lot of fucking issues with Harry Potter as a whole, but like at least from what I remember finding her book really really easy to read. Like it,
Yeah, most of the criticisms I've heard about her writing have more to do with like the world building. Than, like I haven't heard too much about.
I've heard
like,
loads of people say they can't stand how she writes, but like
interesting.
I've never had that. That was probably the best part for me. Was I thought how she writes is pretty good.
Yeah.
Her world building's a bit of a mess, and she does not know how to fucking write romance at all. Like, she's really bad at it.
Well,
Like, I don't. Have you ever read Harry Potter?
have I ever what?
Read Harry Potter by any chance? Did
I
you-
actually haven't, which I should
Okay.
at some point. But
However bad you think the romance writing is in your head, it's worse. It's that bad. But that's only for like the final 2 books or so. Maybe 3. They're I'd say they're worth a read at least. They're much better than the films. I at least in my opinion, I think they're very easy to read. So it's like if you know sometimes you just don't want to read something that's like really heavy or anything. You can at least when I was a kid, it was something like if I just wanted to read something easy, it's something I could just sit down and read, no problem. But not like I liked them as a kid. Looking back, they have a lot of issues, and I mean a lot of issues. But nah, Stephen King. I've never connected with anything he's wrote. At best, I thought he was interesting, but that was more or less because cocaine. Cocaine makes you write interesting things. But that's true for anyone. I could hand you a huge pile of cocaine. You could snort it Scarface style, and I'm sure you could write me. I'm sure you could write something interesting that I'd be like, that's really neat. But so I don't think King is unique for going crazy when taking cocaine.
wait, can I tell you? Wait, have I talked to you about how like this is gonna be another slight sideways segue? But have I talked to you about how I love the movie Conan the Barbarian?
Many times.
Okay, good. Did we talk about the Oliver Stone original script for that movie?
I think we did.
Oh, okay. Should I not talk about it again? Maybe I'll. To people, I guess, who haven't read listened to that part of the podcast, just at some point in your lives, go read the making of Conan the Barbarian in the Wikipedia page. It's full of frickin' gems. One of them being that the script was written by Oliver Stone in a gigantic, cocaine and other drugs haze where he could only remember like half of it. And apparently the first half of the movie is similar to what he wrote, despite it being set in a post-apocalyptic America, where the climax of the film was Conan the Barbarian like fighting 10,000 mutants.
Oh right. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty glad that John Milius, changed that. It's been an interesting film to watch.
I enjoy like insane shit wrote by people who are on loads of drugs. Like I think that's why I like pro wrestling so much. Is like it's insane, and the people who work on it are fucking insane. Like I've often said that if I could have any person write an autobiography, it would be Vince McMahon, because he is absolutely like he is the most. I would argue he is the most interesting person of the last 100 years. He is that fucking crazy.
I mean, he's certainly. Yeah, I would love to know what's going on inside of his head. Yeah.
Cause yeah, I couldn't tell you what goes on inside his head. He's so odd. He's a complete scumbag, but like
Yeah.
100% complete scumbag. I don't need to get into any of the sex scandals or anything like that. I'm pretty sure he's separated from his wife now because of all of it. But at the same time, he's so fascinating just how fucking weird he is. Like,
Yeah.
did I ever tell you the story about about him pitching an incest storyline?
What?
So, his daughter Stephanie was pregnant at the time with her first child, with Triple H, Paul Levesque, real name. And while she was pregnant, Vince pitched to her a storyline where they would be revealed that her child is actually Vince's. And
Man, about a dude that puts the business before everything. Holy shit.
it gets worse. So Stephanie tells him, "No, you're not going to be the father of my child." And he replies, "Okay, how about Shane, her brother?" Like,
Jesus.
just like that story's infamous for just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, he's just, his work ethic is like, it puts Asian people to shame how hard this man works. And he's just crazy. Like, truly fascinating, but completely fucking insane. And yeah, I think part of it is trauma because he was abused as a kid, and part of it's just being wild. Because like I think it's something to do with the McMahon genes, because his son Shane is also a fucking insane person.
Is he? I
quite,
don't know much about Shane McMahon.
Apparently he's very nice to work for. He also nearly got himself killed in front of thousands of people, in front of millions of people. He once had a match with Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle was meant to German suplex him through sugar glass, easy to break glass, right?
Yeah,
and the production team didn't put sugar glass in; they left real glass in. So,
fucking hell.
So Kurt Angle German suplex chain through real glass, full force. He hits it. You hear his neck crack, and he tells Kurt Angle to suplex him again so the glass breaks. And he does it.
Hell.
And he got suplexed through real glass. And like, he's clearly concussed and out of his mind, and absolutely insane person. He also has a affinity for jumping off large things. Like, he was like genuinely like he must be in like his 50s now. How old is Shane McMahon? And only a few years ago he jumped off Hell in a Cell to do an elbow drop on The Undertaker. Yeah, let me see how old he is.
53.
54.
Started working in the WWE at age 15. Man is a lifer. Jesus.
Not really, actually. He left for a while.
Oh, did he? Oh, damn.
Yeah. When he found out Stephanie was gonna get the business over him, he left for a while. Then he came back. Then he got fired, and then he came back this year and tore his quads doing a leapfrog in front of everyone. Which, unlucky. Craziest thing about that story is that it was that match was saved by Snoop Dogg of all people.
Really?
Yeah, so it was him and The Miz were like hosting WrestleMania. Like, Shane comes out, impromptu match with The Miz, does a leapfrog over The Miz, tears both his quads. Not the first time that's happened to a McMahon on live TV, might I add. And so he can't move. So what the fuck happens? Snoop Dogg clotheslines The Miz and pins him and just saves the match very quickly. Which was, like, I'm impressed that Snoop Dogg could think that fast on his feet, especially because of how much weed he smokes. But he actually pulled off. Full credit to him. But
Credit to him.
that's also not the first time a big man has torn his quads in front of everyone. As there was the time during the Royal Rumble where John Cena and Batista both went over the top rope at the same time and eliminated each other when Batista was meant to win. And Vince McMahon storms out all angry because they can't decide who's meant to win then because they both hit the floor at the same time. Rolls into the ring, tears both his quads, so he's stuck sitting there against the ropes, shouting at them all angry while he can't stand because he's torn both his quads. It's it's a funny image. Him just sitting there with legs spread out because he can't move his legs. It's brilliant. It's like, not for him, he was in a lot of pain, but it's hysterical for everyone else. But no, they're all just they're all crazy. Because I mean, even Stephanie's crazy. I mean, she once compared the steroid scandal from the 90s to 9/11. Right after 9/11, might I add.
Jesus.
This was like the first Raw after 9/11. They did like a show and like memorial of it, and they had like loads of superstars and all that talk about it. And Stephanie compares how America being under attack to the time her family were under attack. She's referring to the steroid scandal.
Jesus.
Which I don't think I need to explain what is wrong with that statement in so many ways. The deaths of 3,000 people. Millionaire being on trial for dealing drugs. 3,000 people dead. Millionaire, now billionaire, dealing drugs. Which is worse? I'll leave that for the audience to decide. Also, Vince just has like a really weird thing for muscular tall men. And he's also like the luckiest person to have ever lived, because funnily enough, most of his big stars he didn't want to sign.
Really?
He didn't want to sign John Cena. He had to be talked into it.
Why the fuck would you? What, did he just not see the potential in it or something?
So what happened? Like, they were having steroid issues again when Cena
Yeah.
came in, and because he thought Cena he thought Cena was on steroids, and he told him to kick Cena out there right away, like kick him out right now, because he thought that it was gonna like attract attention for steroids. And if I remember correctly, that's what happened. And like in every story where Vince wanted to get rid of someone, Jim Ross had to talk him into actually like keeping the guy around. But like, there are tons of wrestlers who were like massive, who Vince had to be talked into hiring. Because like people.
So I guess like Jim Ross is the real MVP here, like saving.
Yeah. WWE collapsed decades ago if it wasn't for Jim Ross. It's probably why they're having loads of issues now, because he's not there anymore.
Oh.
Because he now does commentary here and there for AEW, and AEW have got a lot of issues of their own. But yeah, no, like Vince quite literally is the luckiest man in entertainment. Because I mean, that alone, the fact he didn't want to sign John fucking Cena,
Yeah.
tells you everything. And I have a lot of issues with John Cena, but he's undeniably like a megastar in the making. Even then, even if he is a pretty bad wrestler, all things considered. Like, he sucked most of his career, and he had like one good title run with the US title, and that was it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was dreadful the rest of the time. Like, it to the point where it's like a meme that he has even acknowledged. Because, basically, he has what are known as the 5 moves of doom, where he does these 5 moves, and he wins. That's it. It's the meme Cena wins lol. And, like, I can appreciate how much of a troll John Cena is, because he like built up that he was going to introduce the sixth move of Doom. So he does all 5 moves. He's fighting, I think it was Elias. He like crosses his arms and is like ready to like build up to the move, and he just punches the guy once and that's it. Which is that was
Yeah, that's a troll move.
that was
That's
hilarious. That was really fun. I thought that was really funny, and I can appreciate Cena doing something like that. That is hilarious. But he's still not a good ref. You know, his US title run was really good, and like later on in his career, he actually had some really good matches. He had
okay.
he had 3 really good ones. I think it was 3 with AJ Styles, but that's also because AJ Styles is a really good wrestler.
Yeah.
But like that US title run, he had like it was like an open challenge. So it was like every Raw he's wrestling someone new, and he got some really good matches out of some guys like he was Neville at the time. He's now Pac, Sami Zayn. Yeah, no, good run. That was about it. So that was like he got maybe 3 good years out of his like 20-year career. If that gives you an idea how bad he is. Like that's why I always hate these people who like will compare like the aces in Japan to John Cena, because like I've seen people compare Okada to John Cena. No, Okada's not booked as strong as Cena was, and Okada can wrestle. Like the comparison isn't fair, because even when Okada's like at his like peak, I guess you could call it Super Okada, where he always wins, Okada will still put on an excellent match.
Yeah.
Like Cena, for most of his career, when he was like what gets called Super Cena, where it was the Cena wins lol kind of thing.
Yeah.
When Cena was Super Cena, he didn't put on good matches. Okada, even at his like he had when he did that legendary title run, like he didn't even win all the matches. He had a tie with Kenny Omega, and then he lost to him in the G1. Like it wasn't 5 moves of doom, I win. He got really close to getting beaten a couple of times. Like you take his match with Shibata, for example, which is one of my favorite matches. Like that title run has 3 of my favorite matches of all time in it, maybe 4. Cena has none.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably go as far to say Kenny Okada 2 might be the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Oh.
It's that good. I'd say my favorite is Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros All Out 2021, which someone is slamming their keyboards at me saying that, because about 50% people fucking hate that match with a passion, and another 50 think it's hilarious and amazing. I think it's amazing, but I'm also aware it's not very technical. It's, from a storyline perspective, it's terrible. From an in-ring psychology perspective, it's terrible. They're selling at times, terrible, but it's fun. It's like, have you ever heard the term spot monkey?
Bot monkey?
So
No.
a big like moment in wrestling is called a spot. So take Mick Foley getting thrown up Hell in a Cell. That's a spot.
Yeah. That's
right.
a spot.
Right. And you have these guys who get called spot monkeys, who, like, basically the whole term comes from the fact that they only care about the spot. They don't care about the stuff in between. They only care about doing big moments, and that's it. And the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros are both spot monkeys. I will say that they are. And their match at All In the Steel Cage is a spot monkey match, 100%. It is big spot after big spot after big spot. That's all it is. But it flows so perfectly that I don't care. I first saw it while the stream was starting, so what happens was I would see about 10 seconds, then I'd get about 5 seconds of loading, and then it would go back about 3 seconds. That's how I watched that match for the first time, and after seeing it like that, I was like, that is my favorite match of all time.
No shit. You should send me a link. I'll watch that. I'll watch that.
I'll see if I can get a link for you, but it is that good. but at the same time, like the selling is pretty poor at times. As I said, in-ring psychology dreadful. From in-ring, yeah, from like the psychology and the storyline, it is absolutely awful. But it, like, the spots flow so well together that I don't care, because it's just fun. It's just like, turn your brain off and just watch these guys do crazy shit in a steel cage. And it's, yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, but like there's a moment like where like both the Bucks have Ray Phoenix, like they're both of them are holding onto one of his arms, and his way of getting out of it is to jump up onto the ropes and then jump and like basically like wall run on the steel cage to like pull both of them off him. And it's like, how do you see that and not go, that's fucking cool? He literally like uses the steel cage as like a way to like wall run is how I would describe it. It's so cool. Like, anyone who sees that and goes, yeah, but in-ring psychology is bad, you're an asshole. Just have fun. But but it's by no means the best match of all time. It's my favorite match. It's not the best. It's not even close to the best. It's not making top 25. It is not making top 100. It is, as I said, in aspect it is dreadful, but it's fun.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I'd like to watch that then. So
I'll see if I can find you a link. Yeah, but yeah, not like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask you a question that is slightly not related to this. I guess you can tell my ADHD is on today. About Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yeah, what about him?
Well, like, this is the thing. I was watching wrestling at the time, but I was just aware of him because I guess that was when it felt like WWF was really blowing up in the States.
Yeah, he was massive at his peak.
Yeah, he was fucking everywhere. And the thing about him, right, is I was talking with one of my coworkers who, was in America at that time, and like he saw Stone Cold Steve Austin as a heel, right? And like, I guess it's one of those questions of like, how are we defining this? Because like, obviously Stone Cold Stone Austin was like not a baby face.
So the term,
but it sort of felt like
the term that gets used is there's a term for that. So the term that gets used for that is tweener, basically in between. So Stone Cold started as a heel. He then had that match with Bret Hart at Survivor Series, was it? Or was it SummerSlam? One of the two, where Bret Hart turned heel and Stone Cold turned face. The one where Steve Austin passes out instead of refusing to submit to the sharpshooter. And then he became he's a tweener in a way, where he's not the all-American good guy like John Cena.
Yeah.
But like
he's like the angry dude who drinks beer and punches you in the dick, but he's punching Vince McMahon in the dick for being a worse guy.
Basically, yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example from like the modern era that would describe that. Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is I have very mixed feelings on Jon Moxley. He's kind of like Stone Cold. But yeah, again, it's like he had very violent matches. He does a lot of violence. That's basically his character, is I'm going to violence you. But he gets cheered. He's kind of in that position in between. Same would apply to Jamie Hayter. She has pretty hard-hitting violent matches, but it gets cheered because, like, she's fighting worse part people than her. Also, just she's probably the best women's wrestler on the planet, and got over naturally because people, like, she'd have a match, people would go, she's really good. Also, loads of people have like a muscle mommy fetish, so really like her because she's clearly on steroids. Uh, but yeah, not like you'd either describe him as a tweener or just like a different type of baby face, but and then he did turn heel again, and that you could argue that killed the wrestling business in North America. But I'm surprised that they didn't try to do another like tweener face of the company instead of just going down the Cena angle forever again. Uh, Though I guess their top guy is Roman Reigns now, who is full on a heel. Like, like that's not even.
Oh yeah, I heard that currently when he returned, he was doing like the Bloodline or whatever it's
Yeah,
called. Like
that's
he's
it.
just 100%
Oh yeah. So
heel.
I have really mixed feelings on Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I don't think he's particularly amazing as a wrestler. Honestly, what was really interesting, right, is when he was like starting off as a babyface, everyone fucking hated him. They literally played a video package of him visiting a kid with cancer, and people booed him. That's how bad people
Jesus.
hated him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when this was happening, I was growing up as a kid, so I liked Roman Reigns as a kid. I thought he was really cool. He's a Samoan guy with long black hair who does a Superman punch and a spear. He's cool. I like Roman, and I didn't know any of this stuff was happening. And now that I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a dreadful run he had there. And like the Bloodline stuff, like from a storytelling perspective, it's very good. I just don't think he has the most interesting moveset in the world. And I genuinely feel motion sickness watching WWE because of their way of shooting stuff. It's like there's so much movement going on. It's like actually sickening to watch. I genuinely can't watch. I could not watch a 3-hour WWE show. No chance. Because like how they like shoot it is like every time someone does a move, it like zooms in for a second, and it's like that's actually like disorientating to watch. It's why I watch New Japan, because New Japan shoot all their wrestling like it's sports. So there's none of this dumb bullshit of I'm going to zoom in every time someone does a move. They just portray it like a sport. And I think I've said this before, like WWE do not let you see any of the cameras on screen. New Japan just let you see them because it's portrayed as a sport. And
Yeah.
I like that approach so much more because the camera work in New Japan is a million times better than WWE. Like they're not even.
Dude, that.
The
Or I was
Ospreay
gonna say
one.
the camera work on that. The
Ospreay.
guy who got like flipped and then
Will,
like landed on his feet and then
Will
like the
Ospreay.
slow turn. Yeah.
It was
It,
him and Kota Ibushi. Yeah, that shot is incredible, but like that's not like there are tons of great New Japan ones. Let me see if I can find it. There's a really good.
yeah.
There's a really good one of Shibata and Hiroshi Tanahashi, where it's how it's shot is it's like you can see both of them in the frame, but you've got like Tanahashi with like all the spotlights and stuff on him, while you've got Shibata standing. He's like up on the second rope, posing to the crowd, and you've got Shibata like standing on the other side of the ring, just covered in darkness. And it, like that's something I appreciate about New Japan is like a lot of the storytelling, but most of the storytelling is just done in the ring. So stuff like your camera work, your lighting, really tells the story more than just guy gives promo about why he don't like other person. It's very much about what they're doing in the ring that matters way more, and I like that stuff. Okay, I got it. Like, yeah, look at this, pure Kino.
Oh, that is yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's.
like look at that. That is that tells you everything you need to know about those two guys with one photo.
Yeah.
Though Tanahashi should retire. That man's
Oh.
that man's knees are made of sawdust.
Uh.
It's a
Yeah.
shame.
The knees.
I
are
like
important.
Tanahashi, but yeah, no, you can't go in it. His knees just. If you need an idea how bad it is, all the custom characters people have made of him on WWE 2K23 all have their leg stats set to the lowest. Because his knees don't work. That's how bad it is. And like it's a shame because I like Tanahashi. I like Shibata more. Shibata is really based. Like he is. Honestly, I would argue he is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But if you need an idea how bad it is for Tanahashi, Shibata literally got internal and external bleeding and had to retire for 7 years, and he's in a better shape than Tanahashi is.
Jesus.
Like Shibata's situation was so bad, Dave Meltzer actually thought they had to remove Shibata's brain. Like that's a meme now because when he was like Dave Meltzer, he's like a wrestling journalist, was getting this like reported to him about Shibata's surgery. Something was mistranslated really badly, so he ended up reporting that they had to remove Shibata's brain and put it back in. And it's like, yeah, people still claim, oh, Shibata had his brain removed.
That's brain removed.
Yeah, see if I can find it. I have that saved as well, what Meltzer said about it. But like, I remember when what's his name, Shibata was doing the his comeback tour. What happened was he won a match with Orange Cassidy, who I don't like very much, but Shibata won the match with him, and people were like making fun of it by saying, "What would you expect? He had his brain removed." There it is. Like there you go. I'll read it. But Shibata's return is an amazing story because he had brain surgery and was very close to death after his April 2017 match with Okada, where he delivered a sick headbutt and ended up with bleeding on his brain and put emergency service to save his life. They had to remove his brain during surgery and put it back in. At the time, doctors said there was no way he could wrestle again.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's I'm wondering how they got a mistranslation there, though. I'm glad that the memes, at least.
The memes are good. This might be harder for you to wrestle in future, Shibata Santos. The memes are good, but it's also a shame because Shibata he was excellent. It's a damn shame he never won the main belt in New Japan. Like yeah, if there's any New Japan match you should check out, you have to check out one, Shibata Okada. Like it is like pretty uncomfortable at times because of how hard they are hitting each other, but it's so good. It's so fucking good. I actually watched it with homie. He enjoyed it. We watched it was Omega Osprey from earlier this year, and Shibata Okada. I think he's pissed at me, so I don't think we're going to be watching Omega Osprey 2 together. I don't know if I could watch that match again, just because they did the Tiger Driver 91, which I'll get you a video. I think I've shown you the Tiger Driver 91. It's something. It's certainly something. I never want to see that move ever again and for the rest of my life. It's that bad. That and the Burn Hammer. Never again. If you need an idea how bad Burning Hammer is, I made the Grim Reaper in my 2K23, and his finishing move is the Burning Hammer. Because it will kill you. Like, in my universe mode, he kills people with that move. Drop straight on their head, neck broken, they're dead. Like, yeah, literally in my universe mode, he killed Roman Reigns by hitting him with a Burning Hammer. Like, Roman doesn't get booked anymore because he's dead. In kayfabe in my universe mode, Roman Reigns is dead because the Grim Reaper hit him with a Burning Hammer. that's that's how bad that move is.
Jesus.
It was who did it? It was I want to say it was Mizawa, but it might be I think no, it was Kento Kobashi did it, and Kento Kobashi did it 7 times in his entire career. No one ever kicked out of it.
Just
Yeah, the Japanese are fucking crazy. With
yeah, though I have noticed that like when you watch Japanese matches, like they just go balls to the freaking wall.
it's why
Um,
it's why so many of them end up with like broken down bodies by the time they get older.
yeah, I would imagine that. I would imagine that.
I mean, most people end up fucked up from doing wrestling. I mean, even someone like Hulk Hogan, who he worked a really safe style, uh, like he's lost multiple inches of height because his finishing move was the atomic leg drop, and it ended up compressing his spine.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. It was the atomic leg drop, wasn't it? Okay. And I mean, that does make sense. Like, well, with a sport like wrestling, I mean, even if you're playing it safe, it's still like a lot of, impact
Yeah,
work.
I mean, I can only think of one guy off the top of my head who's never been injured. There's a wrestler for WWE called The Miz. Never been injured. Uh,
Huh.
he, Honestly, he's underrated. He's really underrated. He can promo really well. He's really good at making like mid card titles feel important. Basically, like his character is like he's like an arrogant A-list celebrity who thinks he's better than everyone, and he's been doing that gimmick for like 15 years, and he's been able and like he's not like the best wrestler of all time by any means. He's good. I'd say that he's good. He can promo really well at times. He has a shoot promo with Daniel Bryan where he's absolutely brilliant. But in ring, he's good, but he works safe and he works smart. Like I say he's never injured himself. Like, and I say good for him. Like he came in, made a lot of money, put on some pretty good matches, never injured himself. Will probably be fine later on in his life. Like he'll be able to play with his daughter and have no issues. Bro won the WWE Championship twice, so I mean, he can literally show his kids, "Hey, this is Daddy winning the WWE Championship," and it's not like he's gonna be in a fucking wheelchair like he's Lex Luger. So good for him. Like I don't get this hatred for him. It's like he did his job pretty well, and he's safe doing it. Because like, that's the issue. Like the 2010ish generation of wrestlers are gonna have is all of them are gonna retire young. Like I love Kenny Omega. I'd say either him or CM Punk is my favorite wrestler of all time. Kenny's gonna retire pretty young. Like he's got a few years in him left, I'd say, and then that's it. Daniel Bryan's retired like twice now because the style they work is just they're basically just running the Japanese style, which is it will fuck up your body. Like there's so many guys from that like generation who aren't gonna last particularly long because the style they're working is so fucking dangerous. Like Ospreay, he's probably got another 10 years in him maybe. How old is Ospreay? How old is Will Ospreay?
I
I'm looking
I
this up
couldn't
right
tell
now.
you. But
I'm looking this up right now. He's only 30. Yeah, he's got another 10 years in him or so. He's got a wee while, and that's good. Will Ospreay's he's like one of 2 guys who are keeping the British wrestling scene alive at all. Him and Zack Sabre Jr. are like the only 2 guys who are doing that. Though like, we're weirdly getting a lot of attention here now all of a sudden. Like it looks like the next WrestleMania might, well not the next one, but the one after that might be in London. There's rumours about it. Impact are running free shows here later this year. We've got the Wembley show for AEW, which I'm going to. We had Money in the Bank earlier this year for WWE. Like it's weird because all these companies killed our indie wrestling scene like dead. because like our indie wrestling exploded in like the mid 2010s, and then like AEW and WWE signed everyone. They took everyone, and that was it. And our scene just died instantly. Because yeah, well, everyone's gone now. We have like a few guys here or there, and we get like Rev Pro gets some New Japan talent, which is nice. Because like they're running the show before the Wembley show, which I'm gonna go to, and
Okay.
we've got Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi, which
Huh.
that's sick. Shingo is fucking based as all hell. Like you know the like the Oni masks you guys have in Japan, like the like the half ones that cover your mouth. Comes to the ring in one of those. Shingo's fucking based as all hell. Dude, everyone in Los Ingobernables is based in my opinion. I mean, Naito, based. Yota Tsuji, I think I've told you about him before. Massive Yota Tsuji fan. I think his return's been excellent. Shingo, really based. Have I shown you Hiromu Takahashi before?
You might have.
Alright, I'll start sending these photos in the host chats, so across the
Yeah, yeah.
Let me show you Hiromu Takahashi.
No, I think we might be hitting a pretty good point.
Look at this.
For like the 3 hours of sleep I had last night.
Fair enough.
But I think we got a lot of good topics in today.
Yeah. Would you like to give everyone your opinion of Hiromu Takahashi just from that photo?
Wait. Oh, okay. The host chat. Give me a second. Oh man. Okay. This man has some freaking LSD style going on. Dude is. That's legit.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is style as all hell.
No, that is style as all hell. I will agree with you on that.
Honestly, like
What's the name of the band you've got doing the intro right now?
Lucid Planet.
Lucid Planet. I feel like there's some thematic
Yeah.
vibes shared here.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Hiromu could be he could be a top guy for New Japan because he's currently junior heavyweight champion. So give him a year or two. I mean, he's wrestled for the main championship because he had that match with Sanada. That I don't care for Sanada, but I thought that match was alright. But that was more or less on Hiromu's side. Sanada's kind of alright. But like they actually have some guys who are like I'm looking at like, okay, who can come in and do really well in the future. They've got a few guys who are like, yeah, he could be something. Hiromu, excellent. I could not sing the praises of Yota Tsuji enough. Like, I've said before, like if I were to run New Japan, I would have had him just beat Sanada, hold the belt forever. Like, until he sawdust his knees, just put the belt on Yota Tsuji forever. That guy is, and he's lost most of his G1 matches, which that would actually pissed me off because like, oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Guy does seem really good from the videos that I've seen after you told me about him.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like, and if they actually start booking him correctly, that's a top guy there, no problem. Everyone memes on Shota Umino a bit, which is kind of fair, but I could see him becoming something good soon. But yeah, there's a few guys here and there where I'm like, yeah, they actually could carry New Japan into the future, because like Tanahashi doesn't got much more. Suzuki, he probably won't have much more. Naito's like 40 now. I think Naito's getting a bit older as well now. Okada probably is as well, to be honest. What was Okada? Oh, Okada's only for fucking hell. Okada's 35. What? How the fuck is Okada 35?
Did he just get started really early, or?
He must have. What the fuck? Like, how? How the fuck is he 35? Okay, so he was so the longest reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion. That was 2016 to 2018. So he was 28 when he started that. What? And he ended at 30. That's fucking, especially for Japan. That is crazy. This man had the longest reign of their main belt, 28 to 30. That is wild. I did not realize he was that young. What? Like, for comparison, let's see, how old is Yota Tsuji? He's 29, and he's still, and they're like, he's young. We'll book him better later. So he at 29 are like, oh, he's still one of the young lions. He's not there yet. Okada had the longest reign at 28.
No shit. Looks like I need to watch the Okada Omega fight.
So there's 4 of them.
Oh, okay, sorry. The January 4th Tokyo Dome show.
So yeah.
Wrestle Kingdom 11.
Was that the first? I don't think that was the first one. Yeah, I can't remember the order.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is like apparently
Okay.
What Meltzer gave it a 6-star rating.
Yeah, Meltzer. I have some mixed feelings on it. A lot of people have mixed feelings of Dave Meltzer. Okay, yeah, I've got it up here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so no, Wrestle Kingdom 11 was the first one. Then it was Dominion 2016 was Okada Omega 2, which I think is their best one. Then they had the G1 Climax 2017 Night 18, and then it was then they agreed to fight a Wrestling Dontaku, and then you had the final one, which was the 2 out of 3 falls match. I'll send you this. Someone left the watch order here. I read the post for you. But yeah, no, those are 100% worth watching. Like that, those were the matches that got me into Japanese wrestling because.
Oh, okay, okay.
People
thank you for the.
People talk so highly of them. I think I have the links for like free streams if you want them.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, no, send those on later.
I never watched it legally, and I'll admit that one. I think I watched the 4th one legally.
Okay.
I definitely did not pay for New Japan World when I watched 1 and 2. I can say that much. I did not pay for those 2 matches. So I've been subscribed to New Japan World for 7 months now. They've earned they've had my money now. They can't complain.
All right, so yeah, put those in the video description as well when you post the thing, right? Let our devoted fans be able to access.
I don't know if I will. New Japan are really
actually don't do that. Maybe don't do that.
New Japan are really strict on copyright. I'm not risking.
If there's anything up on YouTube that's like a normal thing that they can watch, like a clips or something.
New Japan are really bad about that.
That's true.
I ain't risking a New Japan lawyer.
That's true. Man, Japanese game companies used to be really hardcore about that too. Nintendo used to be like all up anybody's ass about any kind of streaming.
But,
yeah, that's true.
But no, like, New Japan would be way more popular if they just let people send clips. Because, like, take Okada's Velociraptor entrance. People want to clip that because it's fucking cool. He comes out with an anime sword and a Velociraptor. And the most you get for it is a GIF, because New Japan just strike any time anyone uploads it. Like, there's the GIF for you. That's the most you can get for it without subscribing to New Japan World and pulling up the actual match itself. I don't remember what match that was in. It was a random match. I just want the clip of him coming out with an anime sword and a Velociraptor. Yeah.
That's a meme just by itself.
It's so unironically cool though. Like, it's completely badass. Like, what else can you say about that? He comes out with a giant fucking anime sword and a Velociraptor. Like,
yeah.
Velociraptors aren't even related to his character. It's just there for some reason. What I'm most curious about is who fucking suggested it. Who just said randomly, we should, you know, his entrance could really use a Velociraptor. Because like
Yeah, I do wonder where that like the you know, the route by which that suggestion came into play,
yeah, because
because
like a lot of his flashy entrances are like related to his character. Because like he's basically
yeah,
like if $1 million Man was like a good guy. So like he has that one entrance, or he has a few of them like this, where it like rains down like fake Okada like bills. So you just got like this look of like it's raining down money while he's coming to the ring. Like that fits his character really well. I mean, he's the Rainmaker. His submission move is called the Money Clip. Like, is there an easier way to explain his character besides those two names?
yeah.
But I don't see the Velociraptors relevant. But also, who cares? Like,
It works. It works.
Yeah.
It you know, don't question it. It works.
For not being as big as WWE, New Japan gets some really badass entrances. I really liked Kenny Omega's from earlier this year, where he came out. I think I sent you this, the one where he comes out in the Sephiroth jacket.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
No, you
sticks
sent
the
that
arm
one.
out with like the wing coming up on the TV things. That was sick.
That was solid. That was solid. I can't complain about that.
Oh, it was so fucking cool. Like I'll admit I popped for that, and I was watching it alone at 5 in the morning. I was like, those two matches between Omega and Ospreay like genuinely made me feel like a kid watching Roman Reigns again. Like very few matches have made me have that feeling. Like, I watched.
It's you got to hold on to that feeling. It's an
Yeah,
important one.
I watched their second match at like 4 in the morning. I stayed up for it, and like genuinely, I felt like a kid. Though it was certainly more violent than the wrestling I watched as a kid. I don't remember Roman Reigns doing a Tiger Driver 91.
Yeah.
I don't remember that ever happening. I don't remember him bleeding profusely, just everywhere because he had his head slammed into metal steps repeatedly.
Jesus.
Yeah. But no, you're right. We probably should start wrapping up.
I think, you know, going out with a Velociraptor sounds like.
Yeah. Though if anyone would like some of my not so legal New Japan links, don't email the business email on the channel. I won't send you the links to those free matches. Wink, wink.
Be complete waste of time.
It would be a complete waste of time. I will not respond. Wink, wink. I have nothing. I'm doing so much stuff in my free time. I could never do it. But no, this has been No Society. Andrew, do you have any final words, or shall we just call it?
Stay awesome, and you know, don't let your knees turn to sawdust if you.
Yeah, don't be Hiroshi Tanahashi.